we go. Let's see if we can get it rolling. All right, and we are live, I do believe. Let me double check here to make sure that we are live. All right. Yes, we are, in fact, live. Yes, hello. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of season 8 of The Sausage Factory. Hope you guys out there are all doing well. I am your moderator, Pizzal. Yes, we are live. There is Mr. Donnelly in the chat. Hello, DJ. Hope you're doing well. I'm your moderator, Pizzal. Joining me tonight, I have got Christian Hanna. What's up, Christian? How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Glad to be here tonight at the Sausage Factory.
There you go. Nice. Also with me tonight's B-Movie Mike. What's up, Mike? How are you tonight?
Oh, what's up, guys? Recovering from the last 3 weeks of epicness that we've all witnessed together.
We were close to making it a 4th week in a row, Mike. Very close.
Mercy was given, and I appreciate being spared. Now it's just time to let the sausages hang and have a good night. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. Yeah, that's tonight's show. Just gonna, have a fun show talking about some lesser known horror movies that we want to recommend to everybody on Halloween. So it'll be a fun, we can kind of decompress from the Rob Zombie Halloween world and the Resurrection world, and we can save H2O for another year, maybe. But yeah,
not that H2O is a bad flick, but we have just watched, in my opinion, the probably the 3 worst Halloween films ever made, back to back to back. So yeah, I don't want to end up in an institution or rehab or some kind of shit. So thanks for the break. I appreciate it.
I hear you. What's interesting is, and I'll pull the poll up here for everybody to see if I can screen share it. Let's see, there it is. Let's see, I'll screen share it here. We had 100 votes, which actually means that some people continued to vote even after I called it. Even after I said we're done, deep cuts have won. At least a few people still voted. So they were still trying to get in those votes. I'm guessing for H2O. I don't know. But I'm surprised it wasn't closer than this, considering the fact that there were a lot of people in the chat last week really wanting us to do H2O. But
and over the last 3 weeks, there was a lot of love for H2O in the comments.
There was.
That seems to be the one that people will defend the most, outside of maybe the original. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I was surprised, but that's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, there's always next year. We'll do H2O. Now we have had a number of people also request a Halloween 2018 live commentary.
I want to just hear Lauren do that by himself.
I definitely could not have survived that this year. Maybe next year.
I hear you.
Rain check.
Brain check. Yeah, maybe do that for the lead up to Halloween Kills. We'll revisit Halloween 2018 before we go into Halloween Kills. Also with me tonight, Stone Gassman. What's up, Stone? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome, Piz. Doing awesome. I mean, just got home about a half hour ago. Just got out of a screening of The Lighthouse, directed by Robert Eggers, who made The Witch 3 years ago. And I'm afraid to say anything about it because it's.
Well, just tell us. I mean, did you like it? Would you recommend it? What's the verdict on The Lighthouse?
I will just give you what I tweeted. See if I can just bring it up here. Just got out of the theater, shaken, swollen, and completely awestruck. Never seen anything like this before. Early Roman Polanski meets Herman Melville. Both Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe bled their hearts and minds out on screen, Willem Dafoe deserves an Academy Award. And I will be going back to the theater to see it again really soon.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I've got to see this now.
Right. I'm right. Robert Eggers, I hesitate to use the word genius because this is only his second movie, but this movie shook me to the core, and I've never experienced anything like this before. It is in black and white, and like The Witch, the language can be a little tricky to wade through. I mean, some people will prefer to wait for it on Blu-ray and DVD and watch it with subtitles, but I'm not saying another word about it. Just if you get a chance in the next few weeks, go see it, especially Halloween night. That would be a perfect movie to see in the theater Halloween night.
I did see The Witch in theaters. It was one of those movies that I didn't know if I liked it as I was watching it, but it never left my mind. You know what I mean? It was like for months afterward, it just like stuck with me. So then now I haven't seen it again, but I don't have to. It's because it's like I remember it vividly. So it was just one of those movies that just imprinted itself on me with that, and I didn't even realize how deep it went. And I ended up, I really enjoy it. I mean, it's might not be everybody's cup of tea, but The Witch was actually quite brilliant.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It was.
I've actually been intending to rewatch it at some point soon, but yeah.
I'm almost afraid to screw up the memory because it's like, what if I don't like it as much the second time? Because I saw it and I didn't know if I liked it, but then the more I thought about it, the more I liked it. So I like it more now than when I was watching it. I'm afraid if I watch it again, I don't know. It's just like I don't know if I want to mess with that. It's but yeah, it's quite powerful in the way it was presented. I really think
Stone's
it's great.
got it right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that was his directorial debut, Stone? That movie right there, The Witch?
Yeah. That was his first movie. That's
incredible. Yeah, because that's my favorite subject matter in movies, period, is witchcraft, Satanism, demonic possessions, cult horror. I love it. That's my wheelhouse. So that movie, to me, was just absolutely incredible. I loved it so much.
Yeah, I really need to get out the Blu-ray, and because I bought the Blu-ray as soon as the movie came out on Blu-ray, but I've not sat down to rewatch it because I think I remember it pretty clearly, but yeah.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's a lot to it, right? But there's something about it.
Yeah.
Where I don't know, the world seems bigger than what's on the screen because it's actually very minimalist, but at the same time, it just it's huge. It was very well made. It was just wow. It was definitely mind blown after that one.
Yeah. See, I'm definitely looking forward to The Lighthouse. I hope it's playing somewhere near me so I can check it out.
As I believe, as Lauren said, it's currently in under 1,000 theaters, but I'm sure. I'm sure tomorrow it will expand. Particularly for Halloween and everything. I mean, this is a perfect movie for that.
Cool.
I think having Dafoe in it's definitely gonna help its reputation because he's a very well respected actor for solid reasons. I mean, he's great. So
and like I said, and he's long overdue for an Oscar. Long overdue. This one would be the perfect movie for him to win. Perfect one.
Yeah. Lauren is also with us, but Lauren is having some difficulties with his webcam, I do believe, but we can hear him. So, Lauren, are you there? How you doing, man?
Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Something's working. Hey, haven't really seen anything new this week except for old things that I've been dredging up. I haven't made it out to the theater. But I have a list of one film for a decade from the 30s to now, ready for tonight. Of that, most of it is international. All of it is obscure, but all of it is absolutely excellent.
Cool. I've actually got a couple of Well, I guess you could consider them. They're movies from abroad. I decided to reach across to some movies from across the pond that some people may not know about, or some people may overlook when it comes to Halloween night viewing.
And I'm also going to try not to repeat myself from the previous year. So
very interesting. So we're getting a decade by decade pick. That's very interesting. Yeah, I like it.
yeah, so you probably want to spread me out pretty good. Otherwise, I'm going to be talking forever.
Okay, we may give you like 3 decades, and then we'll move on and give you a couple other decades and move on. So
cool.
Well, like I was talking about before the show started, I had a hard time coming up with the list. We've been doing this show for almost 7 years, and I'm pretty sure at some point I've talked about every movie I've ever seen. So I tried to dig deep, and of course, stay away from the stuff that people would know. But like I said before the show started, the normies of the world, they don't know about half of the stuff we talk about anyway. I mean, even stuff we consider to be mainstream. It will just the stuff you could talk about and be like, come on, man, you're not even trying, right? I mean, They wouldn't even know, well, that's a movie, really? So with this audience and with my fellow factory members here, it's really hard to try to find something that nobody's ever heard of.
Right.
So I doubt that I succeeded, but I definitely went back to some things that influenced my love of horror that maybe we don't talk about a lot as much as we do some of them, the more mainstream fare. No Freddy, no Jason, no Chucky, no Michael, no, but I'm sure I've talked about some of these films a few times, but maybe there's people out there that, I've talked to people, in real life, the normal people, and they've never heard of most of this stuff. So who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And Jay Stingray's joined us. How you doing, Stingray?
Are we live?
We are live, sir. Yes, we are live.
Oh, okay. I'm good. Doing well, guys. How are you?
Good. Cool.
Hey, you missed it, Jay, man. I was heaping praise on a film that was made after 1985, believe it or not.
What are we drinking tonight, Jay?
Oh man, that is some stuff. Some of that is from yesterday, and some of it is the Columbia House 2 times caffeine.
Okay.
Oh,
So
damn.
it's going to be nasty.
Suicide.
Let me ask you this, because I see people doing this regularly when it comes to coffee. How do you feel about putting cold or room temperature coffee in a microwave to heat it up?
Oh no, I don't do that.
Okay, that's a faux pas.
It is for me. I don't like the microwave in general.
Okay, I see
I think
people.
it messes the. Yeah, I see people do it too, but
Yeah, I see people doing that too, and I'm just like, I'll just go get another cup. You know what I mean? Or if I just want a couple of cups, I'll just make a small pot. You know what I mean? I don't want to microwave my coffee.
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah. I saw Christian. I saw you sipping on something. What are you sipping on tonight?
I'm basic witching it tonight. This is just pumpkin spice coffee.
Okay, pumpkin spice, very nice.
I'm a coffee addict, man. I'm trying to go blacker. I know it's good for my bowels. So, but I gotta have a little bit of cream and stevia. I've cut out sugar in the diet. It's been a tough transition.
Awesome.
But stevia and a little bit of sugar-free French vanilla, and I'm good to go. I'm bad about just filling my pot up to fill my mug up to the brim. And I always get caught up when I'm drinking coffee because I'll get it at work all day, and then I'll get 5-6 sips in. I'll do something. I go back to it. It's as cold as ice, and I do microwave when I have to, but only when I have to. Like at work, when you work at a big plant, coffee pot's empty quicker than anything. So it's disgusting. Having a microwave coffee it doesn't taste as good. It's like microwaving Taco Bell. It's no good after that. So.
I what I do with my coffee is I'll do like half a cup at a time.
Right.
And black, nothing in it, pure black, bitter as can be, and just that's how I want my coffee.
And once you go black,
That's true. That's very true. Very, very
Cheers. Cheers, Stingray.
Absolutely.
true. But yeah, I completely, I quit smoking cold turkey, and I never went back, and I never really had any cravings to go back. To be honest, I smoked most of my life.
Congratulations.
Good job, Piz.
The hardest. Well, this was many years ago. This was probably, I don't know, but I'm 39. I probably smoked for 20 years of my life, at least 25.
We talking a pack a day or something, Piz?
Yeah, it's at some points, yeah, about a pack a day, about a pack and a half sometimes. But anyway, the quitting smoking to me was super easy because I just stopped, and I really had minor cravings, but it wasn't anything that a stick of gum or things like this right here, you know what I mean, to help you kind of deal with it. The hardest thing that I've ever tried to quit, that I still really haven't quit, that I'll occasionally partake in, is cocaine. No, I'm joking. It's sugar. It's sugar. Sugar is an incredibly addictive. I don't care what it's a drug. It is a drug.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And the hardest thing, it was pop or cola, whatever you want to call it. Everything tasted like and Mike used to be a smoker. Like the best smoke is after you have a good meal and you lean back in your chair and you light up and that's the best smoke. Like I couldn't eat a meal without craving a can of Coke with it. You know what I mean? Or like I would wake up in the middle of the night, I remember, just like in sweats, like craving a Coke. It was the weirdest thing. I was like going through sugar withdrawals, which I'm much better. I'm much better about it now. But every now and again, I will still have a Coke. If I go to, I think I've mentioned it before on this channel. If I go to a nice restaurant and they make a real cherry Coke, which is not the cherry Coke you get out of the tap, but a real cherry Coke, I'll get the cherry Coke. I'll drink like one or two and then I'm done. But sugar is ridiculously addictive, man.
Yeah.
Ridiculously addictive.
Yeah, my crack is Mountain Dew because it has my two most addictive substances, caffeine and sugar. Those are the two things that I don't know if I'll ever be able to give them up. Yeah, it's been almost 4 years since I've had a cigarette. I'm still vaping a little bit, but I'm all the way down to 3 milligrams. I'm almost to the end, right?
Right.
But yeah, the artificial sweetener to me is just, well, not only is it just taste horrible to me compared to the real thing, there's chemical things in it that aren't much better for you than the sugar. So it's like, it's like, do I want to trade one bad substance that tastes good and it's horrible for me, or for one that tastes horrible but still bad for me? So I don't know if I'll ever be, but I'm sure at some point we all become diabetic at some age, I guess. Wilford Brimley, and the diabetes, it's going to happen. Maybe then I'll just go to sugarless tea or something like that. But caffeine is something that I don't know if I'll ever be able to give up. Because I mean, have you ever tried to quit caffeine? Those headaches you get, that nothing will touch it. It's brain busters, and no matter how much ibuprofen or whatever you take, it doesn't touch it. The only thing that'll touch it is caffeine. As soon as you drink some caffeine, the headache goes away. I don't know what kind of evil substance it is, but it's beautiful at the same time because the energy it gives you is amazing. But trying to get off of it is brutal.
Mike, I'll tell you what I do, man, because that's my vice. I stopped the vaping. I gave that up mostly because those piece of crap smocks kept breaking on me. It just cost me too much money. I'm a runner. I run every day. So it's like, Christian, just stop. You don't need to do that. It does you no good. But my vice is Diet Coke. So what I do, Mike, I mean, this might help you. My problem, Mike, is I'll drink a Diet Coke, Pepsi. I only drink Diet Pepsis right before I go to bed because that's all I drink, 7, 8, 9 a day. I buy a pack of Diet Pepsis, caffeine, and then I buy a separate pack, caffeine free. and I started doing a caffeine free at night. That way I could just go to sleep. Because man, I'd drink 2 at night and just stay up all night. And I'd be telling my wife, I was like, I can't sleep. She goes, just look at the table next to you, Christian. There's 6 Diet Cokes right there. You're guzzling them right before bed. So that's help. But that's my vice, man, is diet soda. Too many. I drink water, but God almighty, if I could get off the diet soda, I'd be a lean, mean son of a gun, because all it does is dry me out, man. I just drink way too many of them.
You're doing
Well,
the
I wasn't
diet.
able to walk.
Oh, go ahead.
I wasn't able to walk away from the smokes like Piz out there. I mean, that stuff was like crack.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, nicotine to me was just like caffeine in a way. I mean, I've tried to step down one too many levels in the vape and had to go back up. I started out at 18 milligrams. I'm down to 3. I smoked for 30 years, pack and a half a day. So I mean, it was like the one after the meal, the one when you wake up, the one when you get off work or whatever. There's always those. And something's missing, and it just drives your mind crazy. It's because it's a habit. Not only is it a drug, it's a habit. And the vaping's cool. I mean, it's not as destructive,
Right.
And I've been able to not spend as much money on it. So I mean now, because a carton of I didn't even know how much a carton of cigarettes is now, like $50, something crazy.
I think
they're expensive.
That's the cheap ones. Yeah, that's like the generic.
They're up to like $7-8 a pack, depending on where you go. I mean, that's just insane,
Mm-hmm.
So, if I buy a $25 bottle of juice and it lasts me more than a week, that's like half the money I would be spending on cigarettes at least. So I'm still saving money, but it does get to be a pain in the ass. Oh, where's my vapor thing? Make sure I have enough of this. I got to get coils. I mean, it's extra shit you got to pay attention to that I would like to be able to get rid of, just not have to worry about. And I do appreciate not smelling. I mean, you don't realize how bad you smell when you smoke until you get around somebody that smokes. It's like, oh shit, I used to smell like that.
Yeah.
And now that you're around, you go walk by somebody even outside and they're smoking a cigarette. It's like, oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't miss it anymore, but I still have an addiction to the nicotine slightly. But I'm looking forward to being completely free of all habitual activities at some point. But caffeine is something I don't know if I'll ever be able to kick.
Yeah.
You've always got to blow those fat clouds for us. So.
Oh, I'm not in a hurry, man. I'm not in a hurry.
I don't know if you guys have heard that. They're predicting cigarettes to make a comeback. Like you're here in the next couple of years because of the big vape scare that they're putting all these campaigns out.
Right.
Like people are stopping vaping and starting smoking again, but vaping's like so much better for you than smoking. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, they were, those things that were causing problems were those counterfeit Chinese hemp.
It was the THC stuff, I think. Yeah,
the THC stuff. Yeah, and it was the counterfeit cartridges coming from China.
Yeah, counterfeit.
Imagine that harmful shit coming out of China. I could never imagine. But the stuff I vape is made here in Orlando. It's organic. It's vegan. I mean. So yeah, I mean they put the scare into people, and I talked to the guy that owns the vape shop, and he says, yeah, it's really hurt his business, and he's trying to educate people and give them factual information, but once they hear something on CNN or The View or whatever, it's gospel, and they just won't let it go.
Yeah,
yeah. It's the oil. I think that they're somehow getting the oil in their lungs, and it's basically like preventing them from breathing. So it like kills you pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all that counterfeit stuff doing it.
Yeah, but don't go back to cigarettes, man. Whatever you do, that stuff. I mean, I remember when I first started smoking, compared to when I quit, cigarettes actually tasted like cigarettes, and by the end, they just tasted like chemicals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even when I smell somebody smoking, it smells like chemicals. It doesn't even smell like cigarette smoke anymore. So the shit that they're putting in cigarettes is far worse than anything you could ever vape.
Yeah, because it's not the nicotine that's killing you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read all kinds of stuff that nicotine is good for you.
Yeah,
it's the delivery method of the nicotine in cigarettes and in chewing tobacco that's killing you. It's not the nicotine itself. So and of course they put all sorts of Yeah, I mean, don't start smoking.
No, they
Don't start
add
smoking.
stuff to cigarettes to make them even more
Yeah.
addictive.
Exactly.
I mean, and those chemicals are bad for you. Yeah, you get stay away from that shit.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how different things are from just like a decade ago. 'Cause, I mean, I used to smoke. Everybody I knew smoked. We just be in a big room filled with smoke. Be 20 people in there smoking cigarettes. It's so crazy. That like grosses me out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't be in a room like that. I can't breathe. It's weird. Because I remember being around people that didn't smoke, and there was a bunch of us smoking, like, oh, I got to go outside. I can't breathe. And we would laugh at them, like, what are you talking about? We're the ones smoking.
Yeah.
We're the ones smoking. What are you talking about? You can't breathe, And now I know what they're talking about.
I had a couple of buddies that worked at this little convenience store near me, and we'd all go over there, and there'd be like 5 or 6 of us, and we'd go over there and play poker, and just smoke that store out. I mean, like the store would be like it'd be like a fog, and people would walk into the store to buy bread, and it'd just be smoke everywhere because we're sitting there smoking and playing poker for hours on end. And yeah, it was. It was a different time, man. Let's see what's going on out in the chat tonight. We've got DJ Donnelly with us, Movie Man 95, Dave Shaw, Entertainment Wizard, Borderline 11, The Obsoletionist, The Trash Stash. Hello, The Trash Stash. How are you? Let's see who else is with us tonight. Ev Leopard. Hello, Ev. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Verisimilitude. Hello, Mr. Verisimilitude. Barbecue Network. Shalom. And yes, McRib is good. Barbecue Network. It is very good. Let's see.
Jeremy destroyed that McRib, man. He loved that thing.
He most certainly did.
Piz had to grab the napkins. Oh, Jeremy, hold on, Jeremy.
Yeah.
I like how he called it blood.
Yeah. Well,
That was hilarious.
he had it all over him, man. He had it all over him. So yeah, but
Those videos crack me up, man.
he swallowed it, man. It was 3 bites. It was like 3 bites, and it was gone. Like he was halfway through it before it even touched mine. So, jeez, oh Pete. Let's see who else is with us tonight in the chat. Nick Pierce, Toy Reviews. Hello. Yes, cut out sugar. Everybody's talking about cutting out sugar in their diet. Yes, very, very smart. Cut out sugar in your diet.
I've heard you feel better, right? I mean, you're supposed to feel better. Have you noticed that, Christian?
Cutting out what? Sugar?
Sugar.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I cut a little bit of weight doing that. But the thing is, all I really did was cut out one bad thing and still do other bad things. I love pizza. I eat pizza at least twice a week, Domino's, and I'm addicted to pizza. But I mean, I exercise just to maintain a decent shape, because if I didn't, I'd be as big as a house. Every night I try to run 5 miles, and if I don't, I'll go to hell. So.
Well, the problem with cutting out sugar is that shit's in everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. And here's the thing. I say I cut out sugar. I cut out sugar that's extremely intentional. Obviously, some things have natural sugar, as we know, or a lot of things have natural sugar. What the hell? But, I don't eat Airheads on a daily basis or anything anymore. So
yeah, I've tried to cut out the candy and the excess sugar, but there's sugar in bread, there's sugar in fruit. I mean, there's sugar everywhere.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by sugar-free. So the way I've,
Yeah. Well, when in cutting out pop was a huge source of sugar for me, but I mean, this is a bad time of year because I mean, I've eaten like 1 million of these little hot tamale things, and so I mean, getting tons of sugar out of that crap too.
The holidays are always a challenge. You got pies and cakes and cookies and candy, and but then January's like the dry out month.
Yeah, that's the hangover.
Yeah.
Let's see. Borderline 11. Yes, this is a Reggie the Reckless T-shirt, my friends. Gotta have my Reggie.
I was going
the
to
Reckless
ask you that,
t-shirt.
Biz. Is that a T Public shirt?
T Public. It is available in my T Public store. It is indeed. Let's see.
Solid.
You are one scared cat.
I need him to come to Texas Fright Bear so bad.
I need to meet him and Demon very bad. Hopefully, I will meet Demon next year. There's a huge convention going on at the Monroeville Mall, like a big Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead reunion, the Return of the Living Dead reunion. So it's going to be huge.
My favorite, Piz. My favorite.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
My father smoked.
What were you saying, Stone? You cut out a little bit. Oh, I think Stone may be having some internet issues.
Oh Lord.
Let's go back to the chat here. PlayStation 9, how you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Joe Bob Tarhill. Hello, Joe Bob. Hope you're doing well tonight.
Great name.
Yes. Crystal Lake Counselor 1977, our old buddy Chris is in the chat. How you doing tonight, sir? A lot of people talking about the pizza addiction. I'm very much addicted to pizza too. And Jeremy loves the stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. So he requests that about twice a week. And he will just eat the crust and leave the pizza behind. So, yeah. He might eat like one slice, but then it's just like all crust. And then in the morning, if there's leftovers, I'll open up the box and it's just all the crust has been eaten off the leftovers. It's just the pizza. So yeah, it's funny. Lauren, we can see your beautiful face. Lauren, how's it going?
I found the gremlin and it's dead.
You took care of it. Good. Very
Hell
very
yeah.
good.
I'm gonna have some stuff.
Okay, this is better.
Afterwards. Excuse me?
This is better.
Oh,
It's slightly.
Well,
you can't.
Stone went all
The
video,
gremlin
Joe.
has traveled over to Stone.
Yeah.
Now Stone's got the gremlin.
He should have opened that attachment.
Well, it's great to see Lauren's face now. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. But now we can't see your face, Stone.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's
Got Max Headroom over there.
Well, let's talk about a couple of things before we dive into our topic here at hand tonight. Anybody go out and watch Zombieland Double Tap?
I have seen it.
How was it?
It's exactly the first film. So if you like the first film, you're going to like it just as much. But it feels exactly like the first film.
Okay.
Oh boy.
I like the first film a lot. I like the sequel a lot. I don't think it's worse simply because it came second, but it's exactly what you're paying for the ticket for.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
No?
I've been meaning to go see it. I just haven't had the time.
See, that's the type of movie that I know that I wanted to see it, but based on that assessment, I can wait for it on Blu-ray now. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
it depends on how you feel about the first film. If the
Oh,
first
I
film is
enjoyed the
exactly what
first
you
film.
want, then you'll get as much enjoyment out of the second.
Okay.
That was not meant as a negative at all. It's
Oh,
in a
yeah,
lot of
I
ways
know.
it's what a
I know.
sequel should be because it doesn't miss a step. But if you're expecting
Mhm.
any growth beyond that, no.
Okay.
I wouldn't want it to
Okay.
grow beyond that though. It's a zomcom.
Yeah. There you go.
Mhm.
Crystal Lake Counselor 1977 wants to know if any of us have seen the fan film, the Friday the 13th fan film, Vengeance. Anybody watch that?
No, matter of fact, that's something I'll watch later, man. I need to check. I need to check that out.
I watched one that was Jason versus Michael Myers in the woods. I thought that was pretty well done. I mean, for what it was, I thought the guy who played Jason did a really great job.
I've seen that one too. That one is pretty good. I have seen Vengeance. I like everybody that worked on that movie. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. We had another question here. Geez, I think I've lost it. Oh well, it's all good.
I did check out the episode from. I'm a week behind on Creep Show. I checked out last week's episode last night. I'm gonna have to say it's probably the weakest of the bunch so far. The companion was okay. I'm finding that some of these episodes are too short. I don't feel like they have enough time to develop the situation and the characters to really have maximum impact. They have some good ideas, but 22 minutes per, it just seems like they should be hour-long segments. Maybe, and the second one I felt really suffered from that. I forget what the name of that one was even called. It was about the promotion.
Yeah,
and that one felt like it could have been something, but it felt more like a Tales from the Dark Side episode than it did Creep Show, and it just felt like there was something missing there that could have made it better. You know, it's not that it was horrible, but it was, in my opinion, that was the weakest of all the episodes so far.
I agree. That was easily the weakest. Both segments were just not very good. So yeah, I agree. That was easily. But I mean, that's what, the 6th episode, and you know, they're still batting a very high batting average. But I mean, that one was not very good.
I still think Bad Wolf Down and The Finger.
Yeah,
those two. That's episode 2 is the highlight so far of the series.
Yeah, both of those are really. I actually rewatched those the other day with my girlfriend, because I was kind of introducing her to the show, and I was like, "This is a good launching point." Is, you know, The Finger and, you know, the werewolf versus zombies. I thought that, or werewolf versus Nazis.
Nazis. That was incredible, man. So charming, right? I mean, it just feels so authentic. I got my head cut off for this, talking to some of my buddies about this. To me personally, and I'm nobody, to me this is the best Creep Show anything I've ever seen. I love the first film, I love the second film, but this show for me is a home freaking run. I absolutely love this new Shudder Creep Show. I really do.
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll take virtually any episode of the new series over the Lonely Death of Geordie, the King episode from the original Creep Show, any day of the week. So you're not alone.
You know, nostalgia plays a high part for a lot of people, and it's almost blasphemous to like something newer more. They're great, right? But I swear that House of the Head, the whole time I'm just like, what the hell is about to happen here? I just thought it was great. I really did.
Loved it.
You know.
I love the sad death of Jordy Verrill too. I like that vignette a lot.
The first movie is just, you know, Romero and King and Savini, all at the height of their powers and at the top of their game.
Right.
And The Crate, to me, will always be the single best Creep Show anything. Mm-hmm. I just love that episode so much. And so for me, the new series hasn't quite reached that level just for me. But it's definitely better than 2. The movie, you know, Creep Show 2, it's definitely better. I haven't even seen 3. I've heard so much garbage about it that I'm not even interested.
3 is really good. So is the Day of the Dead. So is Day of the Dead Contagion. Both very good. Like surprisingly really good movies.
But you know, again, you know, it's all subjective and it's all from your own perspective. And if you think the new show is better than the original film, that's cool, you know, and they're all there to enjoy, and however you enjoy them is cool with me.
You know, I've never gotten so much enjoyment out of Creep Show as much as I have with this new show. I don't know what's better. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what would be better, but for me, I've enjoyed this so much. It's just been so fun, you know?
Yeah. That Bad Wolf Down is still the one out of all of them that I would like to see feature film length.
Oh, my God,
that would be something I would love, because it's very much like a Dog Soldiers type thing, but with so much more to it.
Is Nicotero still directing all these? Because I haven't really paid attention to that.
I think he's only directed The Finger.
Okay.
I think the reason I'm really, really blown away by the new series is just that they're basing it all the episodes on published short stories from different writers. They're giving a lot of talent some voice finally, and that's something I've been crying out for years and years and years. I think it's incredible that it's not just all Stephen King. It's just not just the Stephen King thing, but we're seeing, you know, David Shaw, and we're seeing other voices getting finally kind of acknowledged. And I think that's really powerful for me personally. And I think it bodes well for the future of the show, to be honest with you, because I don't want to see just this shouldn't be Night Shift, the television series. This needs to be a lot of different voices. It needs to be what Tales from the Dark Side was for its time period now. And that's what I think it is. It probably should be titled Tales from the Dark Side rather than Creep Show. And I think it would really probably be a little bit truer to the spirit of what it really is.
Yeah, and some of the episodes definitely feel more like Tales from the Dark Side than Creep Show. But I agree. I mean, I'm glad that they're allowing different people other than just Stephen King to provide stories. I mean, The Finger is amazing, but Bad Wolf Down is still my favorite, and I would like to see that expanded full length. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I was talking up All Hallows Eve, and somebody sent me the original, like it's like a comic, it's like a short graphic novel or whatever, and they sent me that, which was really cool.
That's a good one too.
Wow.
Borderline 11 says, I was wearing my black Sunday shirt from your TeePublic store when I met Barbara Steele last month. Good times. Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely.
Another thing, ask you guys before we dive in tonight. Anybody check out the final trailer for The Rise of Skywalker? Did that pique your interest for The Rise of Skywalker, that trailer?
I have no interest, and I haven't watched the trailer. I don't.
Me neither. I'm completely with B Movie Mike on this. I'm just real quick to get out of the way. I'm a Star Wars purist as opposed to fan. So for me, it's just the first two films, and that's it. And by purist, I mean I don't even call the first movie A New Hope. To me, it will always be simply Star Wars.
Yeah.
Period. I've always hated that New Hope subtitle, but I have zero interest in this. And I didn't hate The Last Jedi. I wasn't a Last Jedi hater, but I am a Disney hater now. So that's all I'm saying about that.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I liked Return of the Jedi up until about halfway through, and then it kind of lost me. So I'm like the first 2.5 films. And then that's where I kind of ended. I'm not a fan of the prequels, so people are like, "Oh, I suppose you like the prequels now." No, I don't. I still don't like the prequels, and I'm not a big fan of any of the new stuff either. And instead of forcing myself to go watch something that I know I'm probably not going to like, what's the point of wasting my time and money? So I'm not even interested. It's not. If people enjoy it, if they like this new stuff, great, cool, good for you. Go have fun, go watch it. But I don't think you're a bad person for liking it, and you shouldn't think I'm a bad person for not liking it. It's just different ways of looking at things. That's all.
Yeah, I as much as I liked the Force Awakens, I mean, they basically plagiarized A New Hope. Yet,
of course,
I still felt like it had a little bit of the spirit of Star Wars in it. So I was fine with that movie, even though they basically it's just a tepid, watered down retread of A New Hope. The Last Jedi completely destroyed everything for me. I really despised that movie, and just about everything about it I despised. It just felt like such a, I don't want to go into it, but it just felt like such it wasn't a Star Wars movie. It was I can't believe Star Wars fans can say anything remotely nice about that film. But anyway, and I don't know. I'm with you guys. I mean, the trailer, I don't know. They've sucked the soul out of Star Wars. It just doesn't feel. There's just, I don't know. There's just nothing there.
Well, Piz, isn't this movie up against the gun now? Because whatever the story is, was it already planned before The Last Jedi had come out? Because I'm imagining now the studio's execs are like, oh my God, everybody hated this. Let's go back to the drawing board, throw everything in for the fans, including the kitchen sink. Let's make this the most fan-pandering movie possible because everybody hated The Last Jedi. I'm very casual. So that's my perspective on this film is already extremely tainted already because of that, right? Because of the outcry from the previous movie. So
now, if publicly they're saying, "Oh no, this was how when we laid it out in the beginning. This was the trajectory of the story." Bullcrap. I guarantee you, 90% of this film is this is not, if The Last Jedi had not pissed off as many people as it did, this movie would be a lot different. This movie will be the answer to The Last Jedi. I'm just wondering how much of The Last Jedi will this movie either try to outright openly retcon or just, like ignore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying publicly, but no, that's complete BS. Complete BS.
As I said months ago, the great irony is that I would rather pay to see Rian Johnson's Knives Out than pay to see The Rise of Skywalker. I'm much more interested in Rian Johnson's movie, so that's all I'm saying about that.
Well, they've got this whole new series planned to be coming out sometime soon. I don't know when. And they're talking about, this is the end of the Skywalker saga. But I guarantee you, when those new movies come out, if they underperform, episode 10 will be pumped out there so quickly, your head will spin. And you'll find out that, Luke had some kind of illegitimate child who, is even more wakes up one morning and is even more powerful in the Force than Rey, and you know what I mean? She'll be, pansexual and multiracial and,
Careful there, Biz.
I know. I'm writing them episode 10 for free. I need to stop. I'm writing it for them for free.
I'll be perfectly honest. The only way I'm going to be interested in Star Wars ever again is if for the 50th anniversary of the original, if they release it uncut as it was in 1977 back in theaters. But I think we all know that's never, ever going to happen.
Yeah, Lucas ain't letting that happen.
That would be the one thing. And why Lucas is still, Disney, I thought Disney would release the original cuts by now, but they haven't.
Wasn't it a problem with Fox? Wasn't that one of the problems with the original deal?
Fox owns the theatrical rights for the original, but here's the thing. I guess they would have to get permission from Disney if they even wanted to do that. I really wish Lucas had sold everything to Fox. I really wish that he did. But.
Well, didn't Disney buy Fox?
Yeah,
they did. They did buy Fox.
So what's the problem?
I always heard it was Lucas himself who didn't want to, release the old, the original cuts. I always heard it was him that didn't want to do that.
Well, there's an amazing despecialized version of the original Star Wars film on the internet, where they have enhanced the special effects. It is HD, but it took out all that crap from the specialized version. So it's just the original film, but it has been upgraded to HD, and it looks amazing, and it's definitely worth a watch if you can find it.
Yeah.
The Obsoletionist has joined us. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing very well. What are we drinking there?
We are drinking a blackberry bubbly.
Oh, blackberry bubbly.
Water.
Nice.
Yes.
Bubbly.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Very
The
nice.
church ended up in this joint.
Blackberry
Very
bubbly.
continental.
Bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Bringing the bubbly.
The BBB, the blackberry
That's
bubbly.
all I got, guys. That's going to be the highlight. I should probably buy it.
The triple B. The triple B. Yeah.
I didn't mention what I've got in here. I actually went to my local church and I dipped this into the water in the front of the church that they bless. So that's what I'm drinking tonight. Holy water.
Wow.
Be careful, Piz. Something may have followed you home from that place.
Oh, jeez. Good times. Funny stuff. So, yeah, why don't we why don't we go ahead and dive into our topic tonight? Well, let me ask the Obsoletionist first. Have you seen any good movies lately, or are you geared up for Halloween?
Well, I watched The Lawnmower Man for the first time last night, if that counts.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I really liked it. It wasn't what I expected, but it was cool. It was cool.
Definitely a lot different than the short story.
Yes, it was. See, I was expecting more of a Stephen King vibe, and then I did a little research afterward and found out why it was, it didn't have that,
I think it'd be kind of difficult to have a large naked man eating everybody's grass.
Doesn't Stephen King notoriously hate it? Doesn't Stephen King notoriously hate that movie?
He had his name taken off of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
wow.
made him take his name
Like
off,
he
but they say
sued or
it's still
whatever?
on some of the early VHS.
That's funny. That's
Yeah,
funny.
he had his. They say it's still on the back of the old VHS, but yeah, he hates it, and you can't blame him. It's nothing like what he, put out there.
Yeah, I got it on Super Nintendo.
Oh my
Yeah,
God!
that's my jam games, and I've got to pick that up.
I've got it in the box. Like I can grab it and show you. I got the original Super Nintendo box, everything for it.
I cannot.
sweet.
I cannot believe they made a video game out of the Lawnmower Man.
Yes,
My
sir.
goodness.
Well, the Lawnmower
time.
Man was. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just there was a time in the early '90s when they made everything into a video game.
Well, the Lawnmower Man special effects were actually made by the company that became Rockstar Games.
Wow.
And so, so those are the Red Dead 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, Rockstar San Diego. They were responsible for the effects of that movie.
That's cool.
So, yeah, kind of a full circle video game thing there.
Lawnmower Man.
Josh O'Brien wants to know what's your vaping tonight, Mike. Is it your Jam Monster?
Yeah, I'm back to my favorite, the Jam Monster Strawberry. It's like buttered toast with strawberry jam. It's amazing stuff.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
I had the opportunity to see the Rabid remake last night. Any of you guys seen that yet?
I have
No.
not. That's directed by the Soska sisters, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much dog shit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What kind of dog?
Oh man, a big one.
Great Dane.
Oh my god.
Is that was that like a Shudder original or something?
I don't know who put it out, but I watched it. I think they may have put it out themselves, actually.
Okay.
Like I think it's one of from their production company, but they've been kind of on a losing streak or whatever you want to call it. Lots of misses lately. I don't know if you guys have watched any of their decent stuff, but like or any of their recent stuff. It's I'm trying to remember. They did the movie with Kane, the wrestler.
Oh,
See No Evil?
See No Evil.
And that was okay. And then like everything else has been pretty bad, right?
Dude, the second See No Evil was really fun. I liked it so much more than the first one.
They did what was that movie American Mary or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that? I remember that one. I remember liking that one. I don't remember very much about it though.
Yeah. It was kind of weird. But yeah, they did something else too. But anyway, I just watched it for shits and giggles. And not great.
Yeah. What are you guys looking forward to most? Says Crystal Lake Counselor 1977. Halloween Kills or Rise of Skywalker? I'm going with Halloween Kills.
Oh, Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Neither.
If you had to pick one, Mike.
Neither.
Mike. On that day, you and I put on some Nikes. Go join the Comet.
Yeah, neither. And I'll just leave it at that. I mean, the last
Very
Star Wars
debated
movie and the
records.
last Halloween movie was enough to make me not interested in any more of both. So
Nostalgia needs to die.
Oh, goodness gracious. Good question.
well, I know people talk about the trick or treat motherfucker being like the lowest point of the Halloween series, right? And how ridiculous it is, right? The kung fu. But to me,
Kung Fu.
when Dr. Satan Shitstain or whatever his name was kills the cop and then jumps up over the hood of the car wearing Michael Myers' mask, like, boo, 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 boo. How was that not equal?
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's just me. So never mind.
Hell, I'm waiting on my
probably
NECA
shouldn't have said
figure
that,
from
but,
that.
I probably shouldn't have said that, but that's my feelings.
Preach, brother.
I hear you. I can't co-sign on that one. That was just a bad idea. Well, let's dive into the topic at hand here tonight. We're going to recommend to you guys some deep tracks, some deep cuts, some lesser known horror movies to add to your list of Halloween night horror movies. So I know, Lauren, I know you've got a pretty extensive list. Why don't you? How far back does your list go, Lauren?
It's the 30s to present.
Okay, geez, oh Pete, give us, and it's one film per decade, right?
Yeah, so I mean, how many times are we going around the group, do you think?
I don't know, but what now? I'm sorry, what was the question?
How many times do you think we're going around the panel?
I don't know. Why don't you give us the 30s, 40s, and 50s? You
cool.
Bat lead off. Give us 30s, 40s, and 50s.
All right. So if you're like me, you've seen the Universal classic monster films from the early 30s so many times. You love them, and I'll always go back to my favorites. Annually, Bride of Frankenstein and the original Dracula will happen. But I'm at the point in my life where to find something else that fits really neatly in that canon, but I've never seen before or haven't seen often before, is just an amazing thing. So if you look at, it's a film from China called Song at Midnight that came out in 1937, directed by Ma Zhu. It was the first Chinese horror film ever, and basically they must have studied what was going on with the Universal films because it looks and feels exactly like that 1932 to 1935 period where all the classics, all the big classics before the sequelitis took over really came from. So it's extremely gothic in that American version of German expressionist look that you get from Universal monster films. But it is really, really cool because it's a story you haven't exactly heard before or seen before. I'd say it's a cross kind of between Phantom of the Opera and Dracula. A lot of that has to do with the fact that, like a lot of early sound films, they wanted to get as much music in as possible because that was kind of like throwing a yo-yo at the screen in 3D at the time. It was big and exciting to hear complex sounds coming in the theater. But a really, really cool film. It's a little bit tricky to find a great print with subs online, but you can. Try archive.org. There is a pretty great looking print there when the site is up and not crashing. From there we go to 1949 and we'll go over to India, a film called Mahal, directed by Kamal Amara. And this is a great film. This is not the first horror film or first supernatural film from India, but what it is a huge, grand, epic film. And it's a gothic horror romance that I would compare to like some of the work of Guillermo del Toro today. It involves reincarnation and there's a ghost story. But the really amazing thing is that you watch the film, it has a great sense of humor, but it's also very scary, often at the same time. And a lot of the images really are very haunting. But the final act of the film, it goes super bleak, darker than anything today would. And it stays there. To say there's no happy ending, it's like someone took the happy ending, put it under the tires of their car and backed up 3 times. It's a pretty brutal watch, but it is an amazing piece of film. 1959, we go closer to home, Mexico, and The Black Pit of Dr. M, a little bit better known, a lot easier to find. Fernando Mendez directed it. It's a film about a couple of mad doctors, that's plural, trying to reanimate the dead. So there's some definite H.P. Lovecraft, Stuart Gordon vibes going on. It is, of course, a beautifully shot black and white film. But what's really cool, and I don't want to give away anything about the ending, but the ending is the only one that makes sense for this type of film. And after you see it, you're going to look at every other mad scientist film and go, yeah, that wouldn't happen. Because this gets it right. It's beautiful, and it will make you fall in love with black and white as a stylistic choice, because it really is all about contrast and how it uses the limitations of just having shades of gray and black and white on screen to hide information until they want to reveal it is really clever. And it it creates kind of a game to play with the audience. And I don't want to give it away, but the movie does something really, really cool and clever that legitimately, I don't think we're getting those kind of surprises in modern cinema. Because this isn't like a twist in the plot. It's actually something visually the film does to get you to a place. It's an incredible film. So that's Song at Midnight from 1937, Mahal from 1949, and Black Pit of Dr. M from 1959.
Okay. Wow. Those are some deep cuts. I hope you guys were taking notes out in the chat. I think I've heard of I don't think I've heard of any of those, but now I have. So
I will put a tweet out later with all these titles on. So if you're not following me, follow me, and I'll get you these titles.
There you go. All right. Let's see. We'll come back around to Lauren for a couple of more decades here shortly. B-Movie Mike, I know you've got a pretty big list. If you want to go ahead and recommend, like, say, 3 to us now, and then we'll come back around to you.
Mine are definitely not quite as obscure. But like I said, it's hard to can't compete with Lauren. He's our international man of mystery. He always comes up with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? That's great. That's awesome. It's good to have him. Some of mine are a lot more pedestrian than that, but I'll go with one from 2008 called Lake Mungo. It's an Australian production.
Yes.
It's a mockumentary found footage style flick, and I thought it was really effective, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. I don't want to give too much away, though.
Hey, Mike, can you repeat the name of that movie? I'm actually writing these down. To hell with the audience. This video is for me, man.
Lake Mungo.
Lake Mungo.
Mungo.
It's available on Amazon Prime right now.
Oh,
yeah, that's where I watched it. Yeah.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
It's an Australian movie.
It is, yeah.
Probably one of the few I will have seen of this. The first half of the movie and the second half are totally different movies. I mean, the tone and it just takes such a turn. But it's an awesome movie. It's an awesome flick, and the acting is terrific.
It was a real surprise. It was recommended to me. I didn't know what to think going into it, but yeah, it was a.
Who recommended it to you?
Actually, it was my son.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's 22, and he's into all this stuff too. I mean, he loves horror movies, but he's not necessarily a slasher fan or some of the more. But he loves the more out there psychological type stuff, and he recommended it to me. So we watched it, and it was a good time.
Chris Stuckman, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's who I saw a video where he was talking about it, and I decided to check it out, and it's fantastic.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Great recommendation.
Awesome. Yeah.
Let's see here. Of course, I have a few from the 70s because, like Christian, I am a fan of the supernatural ghost witch type stuff. One from 77 called Audrey Rose, which also incorporates reincarnation.
Oh, okay.
It's a PG flick, but it's actually, it's quite effective in what it does, and I really enjoy it. It's the 70s to me were great for that type of film.
Right.
I have a couple more from one more. Let's see. Well, one's a very recent one from a couple years ago. I talked about it recently, actually. It's a found footage flick, Hell House LLC. It's on Shudder.
Amen.
I haven't seen the sequels, but the first one I thought was very well done.
It is also on Amazon Prime. I was on there earlier today, and I added it to my. I remembered B-Movie Mike mentioning it last week, and I added it to my list. So it is on Amazon Prime if you've got Amazon Prime.
It's got the whole, supernatural spin, and they actually developed the characters. It's found footage that some people might find that annoying, but I don't know. I think it's very well done for what it is. Haven't seen the sequels, can't comment on those, but I definitely like the first.
Fantastic film. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very nice. Very solid picks from the professor. Let's see. Let's move on to Christian. Why don't you go ahead and drop some of your deep cuts to us, man.
Okay. Now, deep cuts being a relative term for me, I did what I could. Like I said, this show's for me more than anything. The first one I
too.
will recommend is a film that me and my brother bonded over with horror. It's one of the funniest things ever. It's got to be seen to be believed. That's a movie called Evil Ed from 1995. One of the most insanely hilarious movies I've ever seen. The funniest voice dub overs on the planet. It's just this guy. It's a movie about a guy who is working as a film editor. He gets transferred to the horror department where he's overworked and he starts having hallucinations and seeing things. And then the horror producer guy who runs the company, who looks hilarious, number one, because he's got this really bad lazy eye. All his voices is dubbed over. It's so funny, but at the same time, there'll be moments where it's so horrifically beautiful. So it's a really bizarre film. I forgot what country this was filmed in. Definitely foreign, but absolutely hilarious. It's in English, but Arrow put this out. I think it's hard to get your hands on this now. Maybe it got put out again. I'm not sure. Has to be seen to be believed. It's one of my favorite films on the planet. So that's Evil Ed from 1995. Great movie.
And that's a very good Blu-ray release from Arrow, by the way. And it's from Sweden. And credit to Cinemasker. I remember watching James Rolfe talk about that, and he's like, "This movie's just nuts." And me and my brother, we were in tears watching it. It's a funny movie, but at the same time, there's really great special effects works in it. So it's a really awesome movie. I really love that. So let's see. I guess the next one I'll do is a movie. I brought this up last week, and deep cut, like I said, relative term, but that is The House of the Devil, because I just want as much people to watch this as possible. Here's a movie that this is just for me. You start watching this film, and it's simple enough, right? It's something you've seen before. A girl's going to watch this house. And then you're sitting there, you're like, okay, something's about to happen. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, okay, something's about to happen. Another 5 minutes, you're like, okay, something's about to happen. But it's a big difference. It's not, okay, something just needs to happen. It definitely has my attention 1,000,000%. Just a great slow burn, if you will. So House of the Devil, some familiar faces. The bad guy from The Last Action Hero. The guy who was the drug lord in RoboCop 2 was in this. I forget his name. Fabulous guy. He was also in Manhunter, which is a great movie, the original Red Dragon. Tom Noonan.
Tom Noonan. So this is a great film. Piz, tell me if I'm wrong. I think Shudder pulled this. I don't think Shudder has this on there no more.
I honestly, I don't know. It is a very good, I think, a very good pick for Halloween night, because it's got that kind of feel to it, that kind of fall, autumn feel. And one thing the movie does exceptionally well is it captures the look, I think, of the 80s without going overboard with it. You know what I mean? Like, we see so much 80s stuff today, and it's all like super neon, and everybody's hair is out of control, and you know what I mean? It's that movie captured, I think, that era in such an effortless way without going over the top with it. So,
absolutely, yeah. Fantastic film. And I'll do one more real quick, and I want to preface this by saying I'm sure everybody watching. And everybody in the group right now has seen this movie, probably likes this movie, but I feel it takes a back seat to its predecessor too much, because with this, I think it's a 3-movie trilogy. The sequel to this movie, I think it's the best one, and that's a bold statement. I understand that, but I just want people to go back and watch this movie again. Is Bride of Reanimator. I think it's the best out of the 3. Now, mind you, I love all 3 of them. I just love the classic elements of this movie. I think it's so funny. I think Jeffrey Combs has never had a better performance. At least I haven't seen it yet. I know I haven't seen all those movies, but I just love this movie. So it takes a back seat to the ever classic Reanimator, but Bride is so great. Get your hands on this movie if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, watch it again and just give it its due diligence, because I think it's the best. I really do. So I'll hold off right for now.
Okay. Let's see. Resurrection Reviews, our old buddy Steven recommended Matinee by Joe Dante as one of his deep cuts.
Oh, good one. Good one.
let's see. Somebody else recommended another film. Let's see if I can find it here. Steak Sauce says Shrunken Heads. Is that the? Are you talking about the the full moon flick? Is that the one you're talking about? Because if you are, I remember really loving that movie. I've not seen it in a long time, but I remember really loving it. I think David Goyer wrote that movie, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Jess Graham asks, has anyone seen Lights Out or The Babadook? I've seen both. The Babadook is good.
Babadook is awesome.
Babadook is
Not a big fan of Lights Out.
the short that Lights Out is based on is really great.
The
But as soon as
short's
they
awesome.
expanded it, it fell apart.
It's not a full length film, is why it works as a short.
No, it's another one of those films where they go so far out of the way to explain the evil entity that you don't have any time to get scared by anything.
It's a lot of those like that. Like Mama's like that. The short for Mama's really good too.
Let's see. Stephen LaPierre. I know I've not seen Satanic Panic yet, but I know Christian saw it. What was your thoughts on Satanic Panic?
Yeah, I just reviewed that today. I was actually telling Lauren about that. I just think it's so funny. It's taken the subject matter, of course, that I really am into, that kind of demonic and devil worship and stuff. It's a Fangoria film. I believe the same company that put out Puppet Master Littlest Reich, however you say it. Excuse me, I get it wrong. I think it's Reich. That kind of tonality and that kind of gore, ridiculous, over-the-top gore, ridiculous. I mean, unplausible, Adam Green type gore, but with a great cast. Everybody, I'll just keep it short and sweet. Check the movie out, and Piz, I'll show you this really quick. Let me see where I put it. Piz. So Walmart does not like the word satanic, apparently. So the slipcover just says panic.
I heard.
So you gotta, whatever. I went on a little rant on Facebook about it. I'm just like, look, I'm not a Satanist or nothing like that, but if you can put God's Not Dead Blu-rays every 5 feet, give me my damn Satanic Panic. Jesus Christ.
God.
Yeah, I heard.
But whatever. Yeah.
Dave.
God's Not Dead is one of
But I
the
was
most
telling people,
expensive. Oh, sorry.
But I was
It's one
telling
of the most
people, go
expensive
ahead and pick a
movies
film
I've ever
up. Yeah. Go get the film because I guarantee it's going to disappear before too long. So I was telling people, go get it. It's a budget Blu-ray, $14. You can't beat it. And it was actually really gorgeous, really great. The house they used in this movie was just Jesus. It looked like Bill Gates' home. It was massive. And it's kind of like Society. It's talking about how the rich stay on top. It's because of Satanism and they're sacrificing. It's great stuff. Check the movie out. I really love it.
As far as the rant on Walmart goes, they've always been that way. I mean, they were the reason why you never bought music CDs at Walmart, and I think they're part of the reason why they had clean edits besides radio play, where you could buy a rap CD or a rock CD where all the curse words were either, they'd go back in and re-record the song with clean lyrics, or they would just edit out the bad words.
Yeah.
Walmart's always been that way.
There was a nerd that went to my school that had like huge stubs in his car, but he only had like the edited rap CDs. He's such a fucking nerd.
Oh man!
But yeah, I heard about that. The word satanic, you cannot have. That word is outlawed in Walmart. So, oh goodness gracious!
Yeah,
It's just ridiculous. It's not an agenda film. That's the irony. Like God's Not Dead is an agenda film. You know what I'm saying? But Satanic Panic, it's not anything of an agenda. It's a comedy, for God's sakes. It's not trying to make everybody worship Satan. Jesus, have mercy.
What were you?
Yeah, I mean,
always wondered.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jay. I always wondered, like, do Christians seriously think that devil worshippers exist out there? Because it seems like if they read to the end of the Bible, it doesn't end well for them. So I don't see how they believe it really is out there. Are there some dumb drugged up kids that do stupid crap? Yeah. But real Satan worship, it's just stupid. It's just stupid. And I'm not talking about Satanism as an atheist and as a rebellious Livonian thing. I'm talking about real, like what they think of as Satanism. It doesn't exist.
Well, you have guys like Anton LaVey that,
made money.
Push the theory with their dinners of long pig, and I don't know if you've actually done any research on him and the Church of Satan and all that kind of crap, but you do have people out there that push people's buttons, and like you said, maybe there's nothing to it, but maybe they just do it to be irritating. Maybe they're just militant atheists. I don't like any form of militant anything. It's like I'm a live and let live guy. I'm a libertarian. I think there's a place on the shelf for God's Not Dead, and there's a place on the shelf for Satanic Panic. Buy
and that's
fine.
Want. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I'm a total freedom guy. Let people make their own choice. Don't choose for them, no matter what the choice is.
Hallelujah, I agree with you. But it seems like one side of this argument is always getting a short shift right now.
Yeah, agree. And it fluctuates. If you've noticed, where certain members of the left are acting like certain members of the right used to act.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so it's not necessarily a conservative or a liberal or a Christian or an atheist thing. It goes back and forth, and they all act equally stupid.
Yeah. And the thing is, Walmart is the big bully, and that's able to do this. And I don't blame RLJE Films or Fangoria for submitting, because let's be honest, all I have is a Walmart. I got to drive 30 minutes to go to a Best Buy or anything. So I don't blame them for doing this. That's fine. Put the Panic slipcover over there. Maybe it'll be a collector's item one day. One can hope,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So they had to submit to the mighty Walmart.
Yeah.
Stephen, yes, you are doing some piss pandering tonight when you mentioned Jack's back in the chat. Everybody knows I love Jack's back. We've had some love for the movie in the chat.
Oh yeah, man, Brother Martin.
Awesome.
There you go. Let's see, Rhonda Toy. It was Rhonda. It was Rhonda who mentioned. So yeah, it's been a while since I've seen. But yeah.
That's one of those great 70s TV movies. I think it was a TV production. That's it's total cheese, but Strother Martin, he makes everything watchable.
Absolutely. Let's see. How many was that, Christian? Was that 3?
I did 3. I mean, the Satanic Panic came out of happenstance, but that wasn't one of my, that wasn't not one of my picks. But check the movie out,
with the internet, if you're tired of Walmart shit, go to Amazon, go straight to the website of most of these. I'm sure Fangoria would probably sell it on their website. Give them your money directly. Take out the middleman. And if you take away the money, maybe that's the only way you can break Walmart, because I'm a free market guy, being a libertarian. So let the market dictate what happens, right? So put your money, where you want the power to go.
I saw somebody in the chat a little while ago mention a Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer is a deep cut. I would take that one step further and mention Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer Part 2.
Part 2.
Exactly.
See, I just learned that existed recently. As a matter of fact,
the 5-foot-tall Mexican guy playing Henry.
Not that there's anything wrong with 5-foot-tall Mexican men.
No, I'm just saying it's not exactly.
Lauren, you got to do damage control all night, man.
That's right. I don't want to be McNuggeted.
But yeah, the sequel is good. I do like the sequel to Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. So if you've not seen it, I'm not sure how easy it is to find, but it is. I like it.
Let me write that down.
It's so hard to find deep cuts for you guys. We've talked about all this. We're so deep in the barrel now, man. We're dude,
we're looking under the barrel.
We shot in some dude's garage in 79, man. It's awesome.
That's what I said starting the show. It's man, I mean, for regular people, you say Exorcist 3. What? That's a thing? But for us, come on, we gotta dig real deep.
That's
I would
a
say
staple.
Henry is like a staple for horror fans, I would say.
Right.
For a lot of them, yeah. Let's see. Let's go to Jay the Stingray. What you got for us, Jay?
All right, guys. When we first talked about doing this show, the first movie that popped in my head is a film called Offerings from 1989. It's not necessarily a good movie, but it really puts you in the mood for Halloween. I think it really sets the stage, and that's generally what I look for in a good Halloween film. Is making you feel like it's Halloween time. And of course we're going to mention the trick or treats and the Halloweens and all that stuff that everybody watches every year, but trying to go off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah.
But basically about a guy that gets tortured as a kid comes back as an adult and starts killing all the people that tortured him.
And it is also, or it used to be on Amazon Prime.
No.
Don't know if it still is, but it used to be on there. It's been in my list for a long time. I've just not gotten around to watching it.
There's so much great stuff on Amazon Prime, man. They're so awesome with the deep cuts, as we're talking about.
Tubi's really good too for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want me to do 3?
Yeah. Go. Yeah.
Okay. Another one I pick, I always like to do the demon films around this time of the year. I don't know why, but I've mentioned all the other ones I liked before, but I'm going to go with The Church from '89 as well. That's, I believe, Michele Soavi film.
Oh, yeah.
I believe stars Aja and produced by Dario. But that's a great film. One of my favorites. I'm sure you guys have all seen it.
It's been a while. I was actually intending to watch that again soon. I just never got around to it, but really good.
That's one of those video store finds back in the day. You go to the horror section. Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's one of my favorite subgenres. The demons films. Of course, I love the Night of the Demons and the original Lamberto Bava films. And once you get done with all those, you can take a deep dive on some of the other ones because there's like 10 sequels to Demons.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, there are.
I mean, unofficial sequels.
Yeah.
And most are pretty bad, but you can get a little bit of traction out of some of them. And the third film on my list is Laid to Rest. This is a modern slasher. I think one of the better modern slashers come out in the past, few decades.
They made a sequel to that one too, didn't they? Call Chrome Skull or something like that?
Yeah. It's Chrome Skull is not that great, I don't think. But this film I think is really, really good. It really pays homage as well as trying to do something original. It really creates a good original killer. The Chrome Skull guy with I guess it does a little bit of he has a camera mounted on his shoulder, and some really great effects in there, done by Robert Hall, I believe. He directed the film.
He also directed the film. Yeah.
But I love that one a lot, man. I even got a Chrome Skull tattoo.
Ah, cool.
Oh wow.
That's dedication right there. That's dedication. Well, if you've got more on your list, Stingray, we'll definitely we'll come back around.
Yeah, I know I don't have as many as Lauren, so I'll hold off on just the 3 for right now.
Okay, cool. Let's jump over to the Obsoletionist. We're gonna put you on the spot, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a giant horror guy, and I had no idea I was going to be here, so this is the perfect show for me. There was a flick, I mentioned it to you on Patreon, ICU, kind of a horror thriller starring Sylvester Stallone. I caught it a few weeks ago, and it's about a cop who's essentially investigating this serial killer that does these really brutal crimes. Has anybody seen this movie, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And then, of course, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it has another title, like Detox or something.
Yeah, and Jitter Joint. I think it's also called, or no, it's based on a book called Jitter Joint.
Okay.
That's a terrible name.
But to sum it up, though, it's almost like Sylvester Stallone is the survivor girl, so that kind of makes it kind of neat. But it's dumb and simple, but it's a fun watch. It's a fun watch, and I'm a big Stallone mark, so anything he's in is pretty good. Other than that, I mean, I could really back up B-Movie Mike on Lake Mongo. That's awesome. Very unnerving. Very unnerving movie. But sorry, guys, that's all I can think of right now.
We'll come back. Keep thinking. We'll come back around to you. So keep thinking.
I mean, The Fog by John Carpenter is hardly a deep cut, you know. So.
But yeah, I actually, since you mentioned ICU to me, I was like, I should go back and rewatch that because I don't, I don't remember it being really. I know that was a movie that went through a lot of it was reshoots and re-edits, and it was supposed to go theatrical, but then it ended up going straight to video, and it was directed by the guy who directed I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah.
Spoiler alert! It sucks.
I may have to go revisit it since you mentioned it. I don't know, but keep thinking, Absolutionist. We'll come back around to you, man. We'll come back around to you.
All right, thank you.
Let's see, Mr. Gassman.
Yes.
What do you got for us, brother?
Well, tell you what. I'm going to go in honor of The Lighthouse. I'm going to go with 3 black and white movies first.
Okay.
Now, now, of course, we all know who Mr. Tom Holland is. He did Fright Night, he did Child's Play, he wrote Psycho 2. But my favorite movie, and this is not the movie, I'm going to get this out of the way real quick, but my personal favorite movie that he wrote, and it's also his personal favorite movie that he wrote, apparently he said so on Twitter, is a little film called Cloak and Dagger from 1984, which is actually my vote for the best video game adaptation of all time. And it's basically about a kid who witnesses a murder, and he gets a video game that has government plans in it. Well, that movie is actually a remake of a 1949 film called The Window. The Window is not quite a horror film. However, it's basically a film noir, but it's one of the creepiest film noirs I've ever seen. And it's based on a Cornell Woolrich story. Cornell Woolrich wrote Rear Window, among other things. And it's basically about a kid living in the tenements of New York City. Very, very rough. There's not much to do. It's kind of a dangerous environment. Got an overactive imagination. He likes to make things up and everything. And he witnesses a murder. Looking through the window one day of his neighbors, and he just witnesses a murder. And of course, his parents won't believe him. And this film is unique because of the fact that the kid is actually played by Bobby Driscoll. Bobby Driscoll was famous for Disney films like Treasure Island and everything. But what's really sad is that unfortunately, he was a huge child actor. He actually won an Academy Award for The Window, of all things. And unfortunately, he was found dead at the age of 27 in a New York tenement, and his body wasn't identified for 3 years. It's a very, very sad story, and when you watch The Window with that knowledge, it makes the story even more creepier. If you have kids, this is a great way to introduce them to film noir. The second film I was going to mention was two films from 1965 to round out the black and white movies. And I'll ask everybody in the chat here: does anybody know what uxoricide is? UXORICIDE. Anybody?
Don't think so.
It's basically the act of killing your wife. Now, there was a William Castle movie that came out in 1965 called I Saw What You Did. Now, of course, 50 years ago, our generation, had telephones, and this story is about two teenage girls who they're home alone one night, and they decide to call random people in the phone book and basically prank call them. And they used the title, and they would pretend to be another man's wife and say, I saw what you did, and I know who you are. And they call some guy after he had just murdered his wife in the shower. And unfortunately, he's intimidated. And it's a William Castle movie, and it had the very famous gimmick of he put seat belts in the theater seats, so because people obviously the idea is that people would be scared out of their seats watching this movie. And finally, the third black and white movie, which is probably the most well-known, although it's also the least seen. Everybody knows I Am Legend, written by Richard Matheson. There was the Will Smith movie. There was the Charlton Heston movie. But my personal favorite adaptation is actually the very first one from 1965 called The Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, which is one of the key inspirations for Night of the Living Dead. I think even George Romero, he even admitted that he drew from Last Man on Earth when he made Night of the Living Dead, also Carnival of Souls too. But those are, I think, three wonderful little black and white movies: The Window, The Last Man on Earth, and I Saw What You Did. And I highly recommend those. Yes.
Very nice list. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice list. I want to mention something to the chat. I have got a brand new, fresh digital code here for a movie that would be great to watch on Halloween night. It's not a deep cut. It's a newer movie. It's Hellfest. So I'm going to give this digital code away to the viewer out there who can answer this piece of trivia for me. What was the first American horror film it's actually the first American film, period, where you saw a toilet in the movie? No movie before that time featured, you could see a toilet in it.
And I can't participate.
Neither can I.
You've seen
Can I say,
Hellfest.
Piz, I know exactly what movie you're talking about. And what's interesting is that I'm not going to say what it is, but I mean, interestingly enough, there was a movie that came out in I can't give it away. But there was a movie that came out a year before the one you're talking about, which we don't see a toilet, but you hear a toilet flushing. And we don't know exactly if that was added in later in edits. But I will say, okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to stop there. But I wanted to throw that out there.
Look, here at Walmart, we don't tolerate toilets, okay? We don't show pictures of them. We don't talk about it. We don't hear it.
Listen, I just want to make it clear that it's not any of our positions that we're against toilets.
No, I 100% adore toilets.
Toilets deserve respect, too.
We do have a winner. Hold on.
I mean, toilets take a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
We do have a winner
from everybody
in the
Yes.
chat. Let me say congratulations to the Trash Stash. His selection was Ghoulies, and you are absolutely correct. Ghoulies was the first American film to feature
It was Ghoulies Go to College, wasn't it?
Close enough. So Trash Stash, you have won, sir. Congratulations. No, but seriously, David Vines, you were the first person to answer Psycho. So you have won the Hellfest digital code. Please send me a message either on social media or through my website, and I will give you this digital code for Hellfest, and it would be perfect to watch on Halloween night.
That's one I got to track down.
That's great, Stingray.
When is that getting a Blu-ray release? Do you guys know?
It's already out.
It's already out, bro.
Okay.
It's out. It is out. Yep.
And just to throw out there, the movie I was talking about where you hear the toilet flushing, it came out a year before Psycho, was actually The Shaggy Dog. But here again, we don't know if it was added in later or not, but we actually do hear a toilet flush. So after the Shaggy Dog brushes his teeth and then he takes a poop and goes to bed.
My how things have changed.
Oh my god!
Oh, goodness gracious!
That's a classic.
Jeez. I'll go ahead and throw out there some of mine. I'm going to start with, and this is a movie that I have to thank Lauren for turning me on to. It is from Great Britain. It's Ghostwatch. Yeah.
I watched that.
Yes, absolutely.
That almost made my list.
I absolutely love this movie, but I also love the controversy that it created in the UK. And for those of you who don't know what Ghostwatch is, Ghostwatch was sold to the public as a lie. It was broadcast on the BBC in prime time on Halloween night, and it featured people going in to investigate an allegedly haunted house. And, of course, all hell breaks loose. People at home watching it freaked out. They thought it was real. Little kids were supposedly traumatized for life. The BBC never aired it again. They completely tried to hush the thing. It was and it's such a good movie, and it's so well executed.
You gotta stick with it though, because the first part of it, it's just like, what am I watching? Right? It's kind of it's a slow build. Mm-hmm. It's like you're watching this thing and it looks like some goofy fluff piece from the BBC. But I loved how they had the ghost was able to travel, and then they reenacted some things in the studio to make it look even more real, and having people call in that were panicking because they believed it was real. And yeah, that movie really blew me away. That was very, very creative. But yeah, they caused a War of the Worlds style controversy with it, and that made it even better.
Yeah,
right.
And it does one of my favorite things that movies used to do that they don't do now, which is that it pretended things were there that weren't there. There's a recurring theme in that movie, whereas viewers are calling in to say they see something on screen, and if you watch it closely the first time, there's nothing there. There legitimately is not anything there, but they have you so convinced that by the time they start inserting something there, you completely buy it. It's broken down all of your defenses. It's great.
Yeah.
There's a documentary out called Behind the Curtain or something like that I've been trying to track down since I think someone told us in the chat on this show about it. And I just would love to see that because it talks about all the backlash and people that watched it live and stuff. I'd love to check that out.
There was there was a mini documentary that I shared on Twitter about it just the other day, and it's really well done too. I think Ghostwatch may actually be on YouTube, so check YouTube. It may be on YouTube. You can. It
was on Shudder.
Okay.
That's where I saw it.
Yeah, it was on Shudder.
Okay, check Shudder. But yeah, absolutely worth it. Such a good movie. Love it to death. Another movie from across the pond that I love is the Japanese version of Pulse. It's probably the most atmospheric, bleak, just spooky, creepy movie I think I've ever seen. It's so well done. Everything about it is so well done. It's I don't know. It just has such a somber, because it's kind of an apocalyptic movie. It's it's very much with a lot of the Asian horror movies, you see a real difference in what in America, we fear our neighbor. So we fear the guy in the mask with the knife. That's the kind of movies that when we think of horror movies, that's what we get. The guy in the mask with the knife stalking us. In Asia, it's all about, spirits and unhappy spirits and people who died, unfulfilled. And it's very much a cultural thing. And so that movie just, of all the, and it's unfortunately it's one of the lesser known Asian horror movies. Of course, everybody knows Ringu, everybody knows The Grudge, but Pulse, to me, I think is the best of them all. It just nails. It's just so good.
Gyro, is that the name? The Japanese name?
Yes. Yeah. And they made an American version of it, and it's awful.
It is. God, how can they screw that up so bad?
Absolutely abysmal. But the Japanese version it's so somber, it's so moody, it's so atmospheric, it's so bleak, it's just such a beautifully dark, dreary movie. But it just I don't know, it just gets under your skin and gets in your head, and it's so good. It's so freaking good. But definitely look into it. Very, very good. And here's one I've seen a bunch of people in the chat mention Lucio Fulci movies. This one, I don't know if it's necessarily a huge deep cut, but it's not a Fulci movie that a lot of people seem to think of when they mention Fulci movies, and that's City of the Living Dead or Gates of Hell. That movie to me, I love the atmosphere of that film. It's so nightmarish, and like every frame, it's just so foggy and dark and bleak. It's perfect atmosphere.
That was another one I thought about, because when it comes to international cinema, Italian films are what I reach for. That's my like weakness. And I know Asian cinema is cool and everything, but the films come out of Italy, especially in the 70s and 80s, and even the 60s. There's just some really great stuff, and I thought about that because I agree. It's just the atmosphere. It just of course the gore and everything. It's just it's I don't know, some people might not be able to make heads or tails out of it. It might be confusing to them, but I don't know. I agree. It's a great flick.
Yeah, I think that's kind of part of its charm, because it's like a nightmare. It's like you're watching a nightmare where literally, like you can't, wherever you go to hide, the evil is there. You can't run from it. You can't hide from it. It's all around you. Yeah, there's not lapses in logic. You got to take you got to roll with it, but it has that nightmarish kind of anti-logic that I really dig too. And again, the gore. The first time I saw the movie, and when the guy puts the other guy's head on the drill, and the drill goes, and how they did that was my jaw hit the floor the first time I saw it. That effect is so freaking good.
There's so many memorable scenes in that. The girl that throws up all of her guts.
Yes.
I mean, although it doesn't hold up as far as an effect goes, because you can definitely, but still, I mean, just the effect of it is pretty amazing. And they grab people by the back of the head and their brains come out. And, it's so many wonderful memories of watching that. I actually got to see that in a very short theatrical run under the Gates of Hell title.
Oh, that's cool.
And another film that's on my list around that. It was like in the 80s. There was this one theater close to Chicago. I grew up in Northwest Indiana, but I'd be able to go in there and they would show a lot of Italian flicks of the era in short limited runs, and that was one I got to catch, and it was a great experience. That one stuck with me.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got maybe a couple of more that are a little bit more recent. One's a little bit older, and a documentary. But let's go back around, since we've got let's go back around to Lorne, who has got Lorne, give us the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Right. So we're going to stay in Italy, actually. So nice segue, Pez. 1966, I actually made a video on this film last week, An Angel for Satan, which is a great film that stars Barbara Steele in a dual role. Is just has some mind-blowingly gorgeous photography. It's a story of this cursed statue that's been brought out of the sea and it needs to be restored, but it's cursed, so they know that if they restore it, there's a good chance it's going to unleash this curse on the town. And it's one of those films that starts spiraling and things just get worse and worse for the characters. It's awesome, but it's also of the kind of classic gothic horror films from Italy of the period. It's the one that's gotten the least amount of release in America, so it tends to be the hardest to find, especially with English subtitles. But if you like Barbara Steele, and you really need your head checked if you don't like Barbara Steele, you need to see it. It's pretty awesome. 1975, closer to home again, back to Mexico, Blacker Than the Night. I love this movie like you wouldn't believe. It's incredibly slow, but it is legitimately creepy from about the 20-minute mark to its ending. It's about a bunch of house sitters who come to this villa that they're going to take care of. So shades of The Shining, but, before The Shining. And there is an old woman and her cat that live there, and almost immediately they find the cat dead. And at that point, all hell breaks loose in the house as far as a haunting scenario. But there's just so many wonderfully creepy moments in it. It really does keep you on the edge of your seat the whole time. It was remade in 2014. I was very excited to go see it. Again, another Mexican production, and it's so incredibly awful that I'm going to ask that if you do search for the movie, make sure you find the 75 version, not the 2014 version.
Mas negro que la noche.
Yeah. And then in 1981, not so far from home at all, from Canada, a film that no one ever talks about, and those who do talk about it tend to really hate it, but I love it. Ghost Keeper. It's this insane possession slasher Wendigo film. It has a lot of ideas swirling around, can never settle on any of them, and lots of snowmobiles too. Just lots of snowmobiles. There's this crazy woman who has 2 sons, and one of the sons is not really quite human, but what he is kind of gets explained, but then they contradict it. But it's this wonderful kind of rural folklore logic, whereas depending on who tells the story just kind of changes. It's modern, but it feels kind of like it could take place at any point in history. And it's just one of those films that just does not have a fan base, it seems. It doesn't have a cult following, and it desperately needs to. Because once you see the film, you won't forget it. You may end up hating it. I love it, but it's not like anything else out there. It's like a bunch of Canadians got really, really high and made a movie.
Well, what's that title again?
Ghost Keeper.
Okay.
Lorna Piz, do y'all know if anybody got a restoration of that or a Blu-ray, or is this going to be a pretty deep dig to find?
I think you're going to have to find it streaming at this point.
Okay.
I probably should have done the research on all this and given you guys links to how you could find it all, but I didn't. So there you go.
That's fine. I can look that up.
Yeah, cool.
And I do want to say just about on my list, what I was specifically looking for were things that would put me in the Halloween mood that evoke that kind of legitimately scary in most cases. Mm-hmm. When you come back to me, you're going to find one film that's a big exception to that. But I was trying to go into those things that would put me in a Halloween frame of mind.
Okay. Cool. Please Be Kind Rewind says the NWUF Halloween special is really fun. That is a remake. That's the American remake of Ghost Watch, as a matter of fact. I've not seen it.
It is not better. It is not good. In my opinion.
Anytime you say American remake of a foreign film, I'm automatically like,
except for Let Me In.
Broad.
That's the one exception I would put out there, which
The
is
Grudge.
The remake. Let the right one.
I think The Ring is good.
No, I won't. I can't stand behind the American Ring.
No.
Let's see. Mike, what else have you got on your list for us, bud?
Well, I believe it's an Italian production, but it was shot in the States around the same time, like 82. But it these things are shot and then shelved and then released, and then who knows what happens to them. But it's a film called Superstition, also known as The Witch. Italian gore, the very kind of nice atmosphere. Of course, it's about a witch that was executed, centuries ago, but cursed the town, and then comes back for vengeance type thing. And I just remember seeing that one in the theater as well, and it just stuck with me. The visuals are great, the atmosphere is great. Depending on what you think of, like City of the Living Dead or any of the other type of Italian films, whether you think they're hard to watch or cheesy or whatever, I enjoy it. That's definitely one I would recommend you check out.
Cool. What year was that, Mike?
Superstition, also known as The Witch.
82?
82 was the year it was produced, but it was released maybe 84 in the States.
Okay.
Let's see. One I like because I'm a fan of Michael Caine is The Hand.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's a good psychological thriller about a cartoonist that loses his hand in a car accident, and then the Hand starts, exacting his vengeance, or maybe he's just losing his shit. But very well done. I enjoy it.
It's Oliver Stone, isn't it?
Yeah, it was an early Oliver Stone joint, and I think the only horror type film that he ever made. I have a copy of it on DVD. I pop in there every once in a while. It was one of Michael Caine's house payment movies, but much better than Jaws: The Revenge. I really enjoy it. I like the tone. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially this time of year. And another psychological type flick, similar in nature, from '78, called Magic, with Anthony Hopkins.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, these are the type of films that I really enjoy watching this time. Of course, I love Halloween and the things that evoke the season, but I enjoy the psychological and the supernatural leaning films as well quite a bit. And I think Magic is a very a guy's slow descent into madness. Is it real? Is it him? What's going on? But Hopkins is great. Good performances, and I think it's an effective thriller.
Cool. Pierce Nightshade says Superstition has a recent Blu-ray release by Scream Factory.
Excellent.
Oh, I'd have to check that out.
Cool. Yeah. I remember seeing an interview with Oliver Stone, and I think it was inside the actor studio, maybe. Although, no, it wasn't inside the actor. It was an inside the actor studio type show on IFC, and somebody asked him about The Hand, and they were like, what I forget what the question was, but they asked him something about how did you feel about your career after The Hand, and he was like, I thought it was over. I thought it was done. and then they were like, and then the guy was like, but you started writing a lot, and you wrote Scarface, and you wrote this and that, and he was like, a lot of cocaine. So he
my god,
did a lot of writing on coke. So
so did Stephen King.
That's true, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that kind of candor out of Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
Let's see. Stone, what else you got on your list, bud?
Oh, I was going to recommend a couple of. For anybody who's into bad horror movies, I mean, I have to throw out some great bad ones out there just to get them out there in case you're interested. These are two movies that I discovered late on television one night. When I was about 12, 13, maybe a little younger. The first one I have to throw out there is called the Bat People. Now, the Bat People is essentially a ripoff of the Wolfman, where a doctor is on his honeymoon and he gets bitten by a bat, and of course he gets turned into a bat creature. Now, I wouldn't say it was actually on Mystery Science Theater 3000, but under its alternate title called It Lives by Night. And the only real distinction about this movie, I mean, it's terrible. The only real distinction about it is that it was the very first movie that Stan Winston worked on. Although he was billed as Stanley Winston. And I think he was like 22 or something at the time. And when you watch it, I mean, it's so ridiculous. I mean, you only get to see like a bat hand with claws. And then at the very end, when he's in the cave, you see a bat mask for maybe, I don't know, 20 seconds at the most. The Bat People is definitely one of is a terrible horror movie that probably would be better with the Mystery Science Theater commentary. But if you want a better bad movie, like one that you would seriously laugh at and really have a good time, particularly with a bunch of friends, there was a British horror movie with Donald Pleasance, of all people. But the real star of the movie was actually Joan Collins, the lovely Joan Collins from Dynasty. And it was released in the United States as The Devil Within Her, but it also has about 5 different titles. It's also known as Sharon's Baby, even though Joan Collins' character is not named Sharon. The Monster, but my favorite title is actually the original title, the original UK title, which is I Don't Want to Be Born. And it's basically a Rosemary's Baby Exorcist ripoff where Joan Collins plays a stripper. She plays a stripper, and she's hit on by a little person that works at the strip club. But of course, she rejects his advances. And then when she comes out, he says, "Your baby will be cursed by the devil." And, she gives birth to a demon baby that likes to scratch people. And basically, it's oh, man. I mean,
sounds great.
It's great on the level of just, it's so terrible because, the baby actually pushes a guy in a lake and you see like a giant hairy little hand push his ass in the lake, and even though the baby's in a crib, manages to hang the husband, but the best thing about this movie is that the husband of Joan Collins has a sister who is conveniently a nun, very conveniently, and she always says, "I believe this baby is possessed by the devil." Dayvil, Devil. And Donald Pleasance is just a doctor who, Devil, yeah. And Donald Pleasance is like completely unalarmed by this. And it's directed by Peter Sasdy, who did a bunch of Hammer horror movies. This is without a doubt one of the best bad horror movies I've ever seen. And look, even when all else fails, you do see Carolyn Monroe and Joan Collins strip. So, even though there's no real terror in it, but I can't believe Mystery Science Theater didn't do this one as well because, that's great. And if I was going to throw a third one out there, and this is just because it's one of the absolute worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It's a film from 1964 called The Creeping Terror, where this was also done on Mystery Science Theater, where the spaceship lands and this monster comes out. And I'm not kidding. The monster is literally a bunch of guys underneath a carpet. And so you see this giant carpet swallow up people around the countryside. It invades a dance hall. I mean, you might need some alcohol or weed or whatever, or ether or whatever you're into, whatever vice that would enhance these experiences. But I had to throw out there some bad horror movies, and those are the ones I need to recommend. So there you go.
Oh man, the one with the demon baby with the hairy hands pushing the dude off the and Carolyn Monroe. I mean, that. You had me. I mean, let's watch that one right now. I mean, that has everything I could ever want to see in a movie.
You want to do a commentary for I Don't Want to Be Born?
That sounds really awesome. I'm going to have to check that one out. For sure.
Yes.
Because I love a good dose of a bad horror movie on a fairly regular basis. So... let's see, Christian, what else have you got for us, man?
Okay. Well, I got a remake. I'm just kidding. This is the movie from 2000.
Hey, B-Movie's my favorite movie. Yeah.
This is actually a remake from 2008 when my wife actually was like, "Christian, I saw this movie called The Wizard of Gore. It was great." So I order it off of eBay, and I get this Crispin Glover remake, and I loved it. Crispin Glover, number one, is just really hypnotic to me. I just love how strange he is. And there's actually this part of the movie, and this y'all are going to be like, what is wrong with this guy? But there's this part of the movie where he's a magician, right? I mean, the Wizard of War, and he's getting ready to let everybody into the show. And there's a part where when he opens the door to let people in, he says greetings and salutations to like 7 people in a row. And the movie is just the camera's on him, and he's going greetings and salutations. And the next person, greetings. And he says it over and over again. And it's the most hypnotic thing in the world. His voice. I love Crispin Glover. I got to be honest, though. The original, watch that as well, because primitive gore, and it was disgusting how primitive it was. I loved it. But the remake is really fun. A Dimension Extreme film. I don't know if they're still making movies. Maybe they are. But I really like that. So that's 2008's The Wizard of Gore, starring Crispin Glover.
I completely find Crispin Glover like mesmerizing too. I can just like I could just like hear him talk for all
Right.
day, you know.
Well, this is your movie. Greetings and salutations. So
just real quick, I actually enjoyed the Willard remake with Crispin Glover.
Right.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed that.
I do too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I don't know about this film. I adore this film. I don't know if it's a deep cut. It probably isn't. I'm a sucker for a good found footage movie. I love this movie. Some people may hate it. Some people may think it's overhyped. That's the Poughkeepsie tapes. I really loved it. Really disturbing to me. Just really cool. I like this a lot. Maybe some of you guys have seen it. I'm sure you have. But for anybody that hasn't, this really may not be a good Halloween night movie, but to hell with it. After the kids going to sleep and all the trick-or-treating's done, this was really disturbing to me. I really like the Poughkeepsie tapes, and I think it kind of got hidden. It didn't really get released that well.
Really a shame, too. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
The scariest Stingray, I'll tell you the scariest part to me real quick. It's not the scenes where people are bound and tied. It's at the end of the movie when the detective says, when you guys release this movie and it goes to the theaters, he's going to be there. He won't be able to help himself. We'll know he'll be watching the film. That's what makes my skin crawl, is because I think about how serial killers used to get before forensics and stuff. Now, granted, this was supposed to take place fairly recently, but like these serial killers that would get away with it. I mean, you got the Green River killer getting away because he can pass the lie detector test. These guys don't get caught, you know. So that's a really disturbing movie. Check that out. It's an experience for sure. And one more I got. I'll go ahead, Piz.
Oh, I was gonna add to the Poughkeepsie tapes. Yeah, I really like that film too. It's such a shame because that movie was like supposed to come out 5 years before it finally hit Blu-ray, and it was like completely just disappeared. I saw it because somebody had posted the whole. Here's how far back it goes. Somebody had posted the whole movie on MySpace,
right?
And that's how I first saw it. They'd posted it on MySpace, and but yeah, I really like it. I think it's really well done. I think one of the creepiest parts in the movie is when somebody's knocking at the door and the guy goes and opens the door and it's those two little Girl Scouts, and he's like, he's like, hello.
I thought well made, man. Really good. I tell people to watch it. I've had a couple buddies. I'll take the DVD out of this. It's a 2-pack, and I'll say, well, check this out. And they send it back to me, and they are like, you are a sick individual. I'm like, oh, man.
Well, and I bet I know what does it for him, too, because it's toward the beginning where he walks up on the little girl in the yard, and he's talking to her, and all you hear is him go, ugh, and like, bam, you hear the sound of him hitting her, and then he runs to the car. You know, you don't see anything, but you hear, and you just know he's whacked her, and now he's running with her to the car, and this is all happening in broad daylight, no less.
Yeah, it just man, it's a remarkable found footage movie to me. I love it so much. And the last one, like I said, relative deep cut. Whenever I talk to some of my buddies and, Fright Night gets brought up, I always say, okay, so instead of watching Fright Night for the 7th time this much, give this movie Vamp a shot, because I thought it was really fun. So,
I love that. Sorry.
And when I say this Grace Jones chick is in here, and I believe she's not a main actor. Was she a musician? I know the name.
She was a singer.
Singer, okay.
Yeah.
This was a blind buy. No, it wasn't. Excuse me. The reason I got this was when I went to Texas Frightmare, I went up to Robert Russler for the Nightmare 2 thing, and he was one of the most genuine guys I've ever met. Great human being, Robert Russler. And I said, Robert, what's your favorite film? And he was vaping in the middle of Texas Frightmare. He goes, probably that movie Vamp. Did you ever see that? I said, no, I hadn't seen that. He goes, oh, check that movie out, man. And I was like, okay. So I got it. And amazing. I mean, I thought the transformations, Grace Jones, high five to her. I mean, it was remarkable. So I tell people, check out Vamp. It's really, but I don't know what kind of tonality it was shooting for. It's odd, but it's mesmerizing in the same breath. So Vamp, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. Maybe I'm not going to say it's the best vampire movie ever, but it's a staple at the Hannah House for sure. So Vamp, guys, check that out.
Yeah,
well, Dolph Lundgren owns his career to that movie because he was Grace Jones' boyfriend at the time.
Yes.
And he
Right, that's
visited
true.
her on set, and that's how he got discovered.
Just
He was also-
fantastic.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Fantastic movie.
I totally agree. I completely overlooked that one, or I would have thrown that one on my list. That's another one. Just I don't know. Nobody ever talks about it, but it was one of those two that artwork that you showed was that's like the same artwork that was on the VHS back in the day, and that artwork would just jump off the video store shelf at me. And love the movie.
I need to say real quick that I love Vamp. I've seen it many times. My only disappointment is that on the initial DVD, there was an audio commentary with the director and Chris Makepeace and I believe Dee Dee Pfeiffer, who is actually Michelle Pfeiffer's sister. And I don't think it's on any of the Blu-ray releases. I mean, I think that original commentary, for some reason, maybe it's because of rights issues, but I think it's hilarious. And I don't think it was transferred over to either of the Blu-rays, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Real quick, because I love this film so much. I have a buddy from Australia who sent me an Australian VHS of Vamp, and there's some of the artwork on the back.
Oh,
So
that
yeah.
is
If anybody watches this later on, whatever, hasn't seen it, please check it out for me, because I just think it's a great film. I really do.
Yeah, it's very good. Very, very good. Absolutely. Let's see. The Obsoletionist, have you brainstormed any new...
Well, get your pad and pen ready. The best I could come up with is, with my video game thing, it took the genius of Yui Bowl to bring us 2003's House of the Dead.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Now, this game series is one of my favorites of all time. It took me 5 sittings to get through this movie. It's horrifying. It's so bad.
I'm sold.
Yeah, there you go.
You've not seen House of the Dead, Christian?
No, I have not.
Oh, it's actually set up as a prequel to the first video game, but it is god awful. It is the only saving grace I would say of it is the actress, I believe her name was Anna Grauer, was looking fantastic throughout that flick.
Okay.
Also, the actress, I forget her name, but she was Danielle Harris's big sister in Halloween 4 is in it too. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, you're fine. Also, Erica Durant, who was in Smallville, she played Lois Lane. She was in it. She went under the name Erica Parker, and she's topless, and she's killed in like 3 seconds. But she made an appearance in that. But like I said, one of my favorite games, horrifying movie. And I try to think of it. And there's one other thing that's not very well. This is not to you guys, this is nothing, but it's probably one of the most off-beaten path horror movies I ever really enjoyed growing up. Was The People Under the Stairs. I love that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The dad just made that for me. Of course, Wes Craven, but that's hardly a deep cut. I'm well aware. But,
not bad.
Enjoyed it a lot.
Not bad. You did well. You've been put on the spot, but you did well. You did well.
Well, thank you.
Let's see, Stingray. We've not come back around to you, have we? I don't think we have.
I don't believe so.
Okay, go ahead.
I always try to kind of work in themes, and also kind of like to alternate between like serious and then like horror comedies. But I got 3 here for you. This is all evil baby movies.
Whoa.
So I've got
Let me get my pen, Stingray. Hold on.
A French film called Baby Blood from 1990. This is one of my all-time favorites. This is a serious film. Basically, a creature crawls up inside of a woman and starts growing inside of her, and she has to kill and eat people in order to feed this creature. Amazing movie.
Yes,
I just added it to my list.
Let's check it out, guys.
Baby Blood.
Baby Blood. It's also called The Evil Within, but I know the American title is Baby Blood.
Hell yeah.
And this is I got 2 Roger Corman joints for you here. These are I believe Concord, The Unborn 1 and 2, and these are I wouldn't say so bad they're good, but they're pretty bad, but they're also like really entertaining for you hardcore horror fans would get a big kick out of it. Lots of cool gore stuff going on. Basically, genetic experiments gone wrong. Got these like horrible babies like tearing their way out of their mothers and stuff. Cool stuff.
Yeah, I think maybe those got. Did those get recent Blu-ray releases? Or am I thinking of something? I might be thinking of something
Wouldn't
else.
surprise me. They're releasing everything these days. But I think Brooke Adams is in the first one.
I've definitely got to see Baby Blood for sure. That one's on my list. I put Unborn 1 and 2 on there, but definitely Baby Blood sounds.
Yeah, those are all fun films to watch. If you want to show these to your wife or girlfriend or whatever, if she's like expecting a baby.
Yeah,
because that's what I did, and I did that. We also watched the French film Inside a couple times.
Yeah,
and there was another one called Grace. That was about a baby that like basically chews off the woman's nipples when she's feeding. And so that's what I hit my wife with. We were expecting our first baby, so it was a lot of fun.
I've seen Grace. I remember Grace. Yeah.
These recommendations brought to you by Planned Parenthood. Thank you.
Pierce Nightshade in the chat says a good recent Spanish horror movie is Julia's Eyes. It has a great creepy atmosphere with some brutal deaths. So Julia's Eyes. That one actually sounds familiar, but I don't think I've seen it.
I wrote that down too.
Stephen LaPierre also wants to know our thoughts on all the recent Scream Factory titles going out of print. I saw the list. The only ones that I recall, well, and you got to remember, most of those aren't going out of print. They're just shifting to another label. Like Terror Train is going over to. It's getting I think from Scorpion releasing maybe.
Yeah, real boutique companies putting it out. I saw a press release for that or something.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they're doing anything more, not beneficial. I don't know if they're doing anything proprietary for it as far as a new commentary or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. So the Scream Factory releases are going out of print, but there will still be releases available, at least of Terror Train, and I'm sure some of the other ones on that list will just jump to another distributor too. So. But yeah. All right, well, I'll jump on here and give you some more of my favorite ones. This is a documentary. I actually did a review of it just recently. This is my favorite horror documentary, and I think it'd be perfect to watch on Halloween night. It's The American Nightmare.
Amen.
And I think I think somebody even in the comment section of the video said that it's available on YouTube to watch. So. Look into it. It's such a great documentary. It just such a well-made documentary. It has its own atmosphere to it that's just very dark and kind of chilly and just a really nice atmosphere. And of course, it's got interviews with all the greats. You're talking Wes Craven, George Romero, John Carpenter, Tobe Hooper, David Cronenberg, and they're talking about their best movies and what was going on in the world during the times that those films were being made. Tom Savini's also interviewed. He gives a really good interview. Just such a great documentary, and it treats the movies and it treats the filmmakers and it treats the fans with dignity and respect. And a lot of horror documentaries I've seen kind of approach the genre and the movies with kind of a little snarky, tongue-in-cheek kind of, but this one is absolutely just treats these filmmakers and these films with the reverence that they deserve. So that's a great documentary.
Yeah.
If you've not seen it. Somebody in the chat earlier mentioned the movie Paper House. Not really a horror movie, but it's a movie that has still not made the jump to like DVD and Blu-ray in the States. It is on Amazon Prime though. So if you've got it's the same director who directed Candyman.
Bernard Rose,
yeah. Great freaking movie. Love it to death. Not really a horror film, but it would be a good movie to watch on Halloween night, I think, for sure. Great
Candyman
movie.
would be a good one too. That's on Netflix right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. This is kind of a more recent one that I'd never hear anybody talking about, but I loved it. I was totally shocked by how good this movie was, and that's The Taking of Deborah Logan. Loved it. Loved every minute of it. I thought it was so well done, and I very seldom hear anybody talking about it. Kind of, as I recall, kind of found footagey, but such a good movie. Such a good and creepy as hell too. Just really
excellent performance from that old woman, man. The Visit needs to take a back seat to The Taking of Deborah Logan, because that performance by that old woman, remarkable to me. The faces she was able to make, God Almighty.
Oh yeah, just fantastic.
Jesus.
It's
fantastic.
Currently on Shudder, I believe, as well.
Yes, it is. It is. That is such a freaking good movie. I'll throw one last one out there. I love this movie, The Sentinel, with Christopher Sarandon in it. It's
he took
that was
on
on my
picks.
list.
Oh shit! We're all thinking alike.
A Michael Winner joint. Really good. It's kind of, it's I don't know if I'd necessarily say it's a slow burn, but it is a little slower paced, but it's building suspense and tension, and it's got a great atmosphere to it. And
isn't Burgess Meredith in that?
Yes.
I was thinking he was.
Yeah.
A great cast, great atmosphere.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and got some really legitimately creepy moments in that film. Also, it got a Blu-ray release from Scream Factory not long ago, but I would definitely, it'd be a good one for Halloween night for sure. So, yeah. Let's see. Were there any Lauren? Let's see. Lauren, we got you to the 80s, right?
Yeah, to the 90s.
To the 90s. Okay, what have you got for us for the 2000s and the 2010s?
Well, starting in 98, this is going to be my one not actually frightening film, which is 1998's Biohazard from Hong Kong, directed by the great Yip Wilson, who spent about a decade making Hong Kong horror films. If you haven't seen it, it's this brilliant zombie comedy set in a shopping mall under siege by the undead. It's not a Dawn of the Dead riff, but it's impossible not to make that comparison. It's much more like Zombieland in its approach. Of course, it was way before Zombieland. But the thing about the movie is the characters are just... The zombies are almost irrelevant because it's just these characters in this high-tension situation playing off each other. Do yourself a favor, find the old import DVD, which is not hard to find and will not be expensive. And make sure you put on the first set of English subtitles, because there's two different sets there. Don't go with the Tokyo Shock disc. Go find the old import, because there's some hilariously bad subtitles that even increase the movie to a whole nother level of absurdity. It's great.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, if you like zombie comedies, this is pretty much the high water mark. To me, there's not a better zombie comedy than this. From there, 2006, this is going to be probably the most controversial choice on my list. But from Spain, I always really loved The Abandoned. That's a Nacho Cerda film. It's this rural Russian house that this woman goes back to her family house, and it seems to be a haunting film, but it turns out to be more about doppelgangers. It's really unsettling and strange and bleak and dark, and it's not going to make you feel good, but it's a wonderful, wonderful film if you like truly dark horror. It was released as part of that After Dark Horror Fest in 2006, whereas they took 8 films and put them in theaters for one showing. It was the whole festival concept didn't work. It was not successful. They tried it for a few years after that, scaled down, and the reason I think it didn't work is because this was the best film of the bunch by quite a margin, I would say. And unfortunately, because it was part of that, a lot of people dismiss it because maybe they saw one of the films in the series and they figured that they were all of that quality. And that's not the case with The Abandoned. It definitely needs a wider audience to give it a fair chance because it is pretty upsetting. And then we get to...
I was going to say, that really sucks that didn't take off. I really like those After Dark films.
It was such a good concept.
It's like Frontiers was part of that as well.
Sort of. It played the night before. It wasn't like it was from the company, but it wasn't part of the festival. It was very weird. I think it was probably a rights issue with the original distributor or something. And that brings us to this decade. And this is where everyone out there that knows me at all is going to be just roll their eyes, because I'm just going to go back. I'm sorry if this decade, if you have not seen Sicken 6, the new film in the Sicken series out of Turkey from Albert Metzi, or Game Over out of India, directed by Ashwan Sarayan, you need to get on these films. I know that I'm guilty of constantly being too tough on current or recent films. These are the gold standard. These are as good as anything I've ever seen. It still does happen. But, Section 6 is the final film, supposedly, in that series. And it's basically 2 hours and 10 minutes of just complete on-screen madness. Just absolutely the most wild, just frightening, violent, sadistic screen behavior you've ever seen. And it doesn't get old. You don't numb to it. And Game Over is just the most successful slasher experiment, in my opinion, that we've seen. It's just amazing. It has the best final girl ever, in my opinion, played by Tapsi Pannu, who is just amazing in this film and carries the film. She's in virtually every frame of the film. And it's a film that, as I've watched more, I'm gleaming even more out of, seeing where some hidden information is. It's wonderful to see someone take the slasher genre serious again and really give it something more than it's ever had. Beyond that, and Christian, get ready, throw me up some devil horns. Yes, people, just go out and buy Hellfest already. Grow up and just support the film. That's it.
Damn right.
All of the Sicken films are on YouTube, and I think they're all subtitled. Right.
Except for the new one, which is 6. You'll find that there's listings for 6, and it's actually either 4 or 5. That's the actual film that's there. The 6th film is the only one you have to have seen the previous to understand. Every other film you can join at any point. You don't have to watch them in order. They're all effective. They're all really cool. I like the 4th film probably the best. I'd say the 6th is the one that's going to blow you away because this is a nonstop barrage of disturbing imagery.
Oh.
All right.
Hey, Biz.
Sure.
Just real quick, Biz. I want to put over, if you guys look behind Lauren, he actually has, I've been marking out over this. He's got some incredible props from the movie Hellfest. I'm talking from the movie, especially that clown, which is not even in the movie, but Lauren's got it. It's just incredible to me. You guys got to see this movie. It's great to me. It's absolutely fantastic.
Cool.
Pierce asks, where can you find Game Over? Netflix, my man. But here's the thing. You have to search for it. It will not come up just if you scan through the titles, because basically none of the Indian films do. But if you search for it, you will find it. There's 3 different listings for it. Go with the Tamil version.
There you go. Anybody else? Was there anything else on your all's lists or anything that came to mind?
I still had 3 left on mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me too.
I have a few more, but
I have a
you
couple
might
more
go
too.
first. Yeah.
Okay, go right ahead, Mike.
All right. Sticking with you took the Sentinel, but that's fine. It's a good flick. Everybody check it out. Another haunted, one of my favorite, and probably I consider it to be one of the best haunted house flicks. I have talked about it before, but it's The Changeling with George C. Scott.
Oh, yes.
Amazing film.
If you haven't seen it,
Thank
you
you.
have to watch it. It's very effective, great performances, and there's some truly chilling moments in it, I think it's great.
Amen.
Yeah. I
one from
concur.
the 70s, starring Piper Laurie after her return to form in Carrie. That kind of boosted her stock in Hollywood for a while, but it's a movie called Ruby. It's about a haunted drive-in.
Ruby.
She plays a former gangster's wife, and the gangster is murdered, of course, but all of his gang work at the drive-in, and she keeps them employed and kind of looks after them. And then some strange things start happening with her daughter involving some supernatural occurrences at the drive-in. it's drive-ins. I actually found that there are a couple of drive-ins in Central Florida, and I plan on checking them out at some point. That to me is still the best way to see a flick.
Mm.
And I had one more a poltergeist ghost demon rape movie called The Entity.
Can you say that again?
Ghost demon rape movie.
It's like a demon poltergeist ghost rape movie starring Barbara Hershey about this mother who's terrorized by a rapist.
It's so good.
It's a great
so
film.
good.
I really enjoy it.
Oh my god,
it's pervy as hell too, man. There's lots of great stuff in there, and well, I guess I won't spoil it, but very, very fun words that the Entity uses at the end of the film.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it's another classic, but my idea of a classic could be a lot different than others. I understand.
That's all right.
Based on a true story.
They kind of toned down some of the undertones of the original story, but the movie's still good.
There you go. Let's see who else had some left on their list. Christian, who was it? I'm sorry.
I do have a couple, but I
Okay.
think Stone had some too. If Stone wants to go.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Stone.
Okay, my two final Halloween recommendations, and let me just say that I'm sure that I'm going to get some groans in the chat, but let me just warn you all up front. These two films, they're both PG rated, and they're both released by Disney. But please, I beg all of you, do not let those facts put you off. Okay, the first one, back when we were talking about Star Wars and everything, of course, the producer of Star Wars was a man by the name of Gary Kurtz. He was actually fired after Empire Strikes Back for reasons I won't go into. But, basically, after he was fired, he decided to hook up with Walter Murch to make a quote-unquote sequel to The Wizard of Oz called Return to Oz. Now, Return to Oz, it did not get very good reviews, and it was considered a failure. But the interesting thing is, and the great irony, is that it was actually a lot more faithful to the L. Frank Baum books. And I adore Return to Oz. And look, if Wizard of Oz was a dream, then Return to Oz is a nightmare. Because basically, her aunt and uncle send her to a sanitarium to be purged of all her memories of Oz through electroshock treatment. Now, I first saw this movie when I was 6, and there are images in this movie that have just been burned in my brain to this very day. One of them is that sanitarium. I mean, there's a lovely scene where this girl named Ozma appears out of nowhere and gives Dorothy a pumpkin, says it's Halloween soon. Nice little nod to that. But I mean, everybody remembers the different heads in the chamber. Everybody in Oz is turned to stone. And this is a horror film for kids. I mean, this is a straight up horror film. And I do believe that Tim Burton did get a lot of inspiration, particularly for one of the characters named Jack Pumpkinhead. I highly do believe that he got his inspiration for Nightmare Before Christmas based on Jack Pumpkinhead. And Return to Oz, I mean, it's very underrated, but thankfully it is available on Blu-ray. But unfortunately, the other film will never, ever be available on Blu-ray because Disney hates this movie with a passion. And this is the real reason why I hate Disney as well. Now, in 1980, we had a movie come out called The Watcher in the Woods. It was directed by John Hoff. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He directed The Legend of Hell House in 1973 with Roddy McDowall. And The Watcher in the Woods, it's based on a YA novel. Again, bear with me. And let's put it this way. It had a sneak preview in 1980 in New York City. And there was this gentleman by the name of Scott Michael Boscow, and I'm quoting this real quick. In 1980, I was lucky to have known a high-ranking exec in New York's publicity department who sent me preview tickets for Watcher. The audience, mostly made up of critics, were held throughout. They jumped, they gasped, and they applauded. No one had expected this kind of film. Finally, the film had built up to the point of exposing the Watcher. There was a silence in the theater. Everyone leaned forward with expectation. In a shot where the creature spins toward the camera and growls in a close-up, the audience of mature, sophisticated adults suddenly lurched back into their seats with a gasp. Upon the exit of the Watcher, a stunned silence filled the theater, then applause. I had not experienced a preview response like that since Alien, when that creature broke out from John Hurt's chest. And Lauren would be able to back me up on this. Obnoxious and Anonymous. Unfortunately, his first name escapes me right now.
Cameron.
But he said that yes, Cameron. Thank you so much. He told me that when he watched The Watcher in the Woods, he couldn't even finish it because it had disturbed him so damn much. And just real quick, The Watcher in the Woods. It's about a mostly American family who move into a British manor. Betty Davis is the star, the legendary Betty Davis, and her daughter mysteriously disappeared 30 years ago. It's a weird mystery, and some kind of force in the woods is attempting to communicate with the family. And this, look, I know I may be in the minority, but I will say this till the day I die. It's the scariest movie I've ever seen, and in my opinion, it makes The Shining look like Sesame Street. I don't think I can have a bigger, I don't think I can give this movie any more praise. But look, it's on YouTube. Watch it before Disney takes it down, because I'm not joking. And Disney, they prevented Anchor Bay from releasing the movie on DVD. Scott Michael Bosco tried in vain to get the original ending, the original opening, and Disney just hates this movie with a passion. And in his own words, they were holding the Watcher with a knife to the throat. That's how much they hate this movie. And they will never release it on Blu-ray. Give it a chance. Don't let the Disney label put you off. This is, without a doubt, the scariest movie, and it is ideal for Halloween viewing. Absolutely ideal. And that is it for my deep cuts. Thank you.
Nice.
Stone, I do have this DVD of it, Stone, when you were talking about it. And it is a DVD video, and I agree. It is extremely good, and it was the same thing. My wife, she'll surprise me, and she'll tell me about these movies that she's seen, because she's a casual horror fan, and she'll say, Christian, watch this Disney movie. I said, I'm not watching a Disney movie. She says, watch it. I said, yes, ma'am.
Watch it.
And it says, okay, distributed by Buena Vista Home Entertainment, and I'm trying to find a date on this.
I think they released that in 2004. Yeah,
more than likely. But yeah. I loved it. You're right, man. A fantastic film.
But I mean, the original opening, which has never been seen to this day, it was only seen in that preview. It had a little girl in the woods. This mysterious blue light. You hear a growl, scares her to death. She drops a doll. This blue light comes out of nowhere and hits the doll, and the credits start over the doll's burning, melting face.
Hell yeah.
Disney has never allowed that footage ever out of their vaults. They will never. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if they destroyed all the footage by now. That's how much they hate this movie. And it doesn't get enough attention. It doesn't get enough love. Just, I beg of you all, check it out.
You heard it here first. Stone loves Song of the South.
I will have to add that to my list, because I don't think I've ever seen that, so I will add that to my list for sure.
It's good.
Yes.
It will definitely be added to my list.
I've got a few more I can rattle off here real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a Canadian film, 2007, directed by Maurice Devereaux, called End of the Line. This is one I don't think I've ever heard anybody else talk about, but it's a really cool film. It's got like monsters and crazy cult people and crazy, people that think the world's about to end, but basically they're all trapped in a subway tunnel and they have to, survive. That's a good one. And Doghouse was my last one. It's a UK horror comedy about these guys. One of the guys is trying to get over a divorce, so they go to this town where supposedly the women outnumber the men 3-1. So they're all, we're going to go get laid or whatever. But they get there, and it turns out something's happened and turned all these ladies into man-hating cannibals. So they've got to basically fight them off, and, the hilarity ensues.
That sounds pretty
Sounds a little too realistic.
Oh, man.
Geez, I'm going to have to check that one out, too. What was that? Doghouse?
Doghouse.
Okay, I'll have to look into that one.
2009.
Okay, I'll have to look into that one for sure.
Yeah, the UK put out a lot of really cool horror comedies around that time, like The Cottage. That I don't really ever hear anybody talk about those either. But lots of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Well, let's see what's going on out in the chat tonight.
Jay, I think you told me about you were talking about the people that thought the world had ended. There was a weird story, a true story that was in Norway where they found that farmhouse where this guy had been holding these people captive in his basement and had convinced them that the world had ended and they were the only people alive. But somebody had escaped and made it out, and the authorities were able to get them all freed and arrested the guy. This is just recently.
Sounds like the Kimmy Schmidt show or whatever. The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's interesting.
Anyone seen Inhabited? The Trash Stash wants to know. I've not.
I have not
seen it. No. These guys.
And,
go ahead, Stone. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention this. B movie Mike recommended The Changeling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not many movies that won Best Picture in their home country, but The Changeling won 7 Genie Awards, including Best Picture. Very
deserving too.
film. Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
It's a very, very good movie. Yes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Steven, our buddy Resurrection Reviews, says Lady in White.
Oh yes,
Throwing Lady in White out there. Barbecue Networks throws out the Toby Hooper joint Spontaneous Combustion. I don't know. It starts out promising, but then it goes straight to hell.
I'm probably the only one who actually likes that one.
Right? I think
I wish
Brad
every
Dourif is in
printed
that one.
film word is
I can watch any movie he's in.
Yes, Brad Dourif. Yep. Oh my God, Inseminoid. That's
AKA Horror Planet. I have a copy of that on DVD. Oh yeah.
Inseminoid's
directed by Norman J. Warren.
That's a film I wish I liked more than I do.
Rhonda Toy throws out the movie Wolf. I like Wolf a lot.
Yeah.
Really like
Jack
that movie.
Nicholson.
Yeah. Let's see what else have we got on here. Borderline 11 mentions Billy Drago in Vamp. Yes, he was good in Vamp, and Billy Drago passed away not long ago, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah.
The Trash Stash agrees that the Willard remake was great.
Willard.
There was some love for Night of the Comet earlier in the
I was getting ready to say that. Yes. Our buddy Resurrection Reviews mentioned it. All right. Well, I think we've covered all the bases here. We gave you guys a lot of deep cuts. for Halloween recommendations.
Resurrection?
Halloween Resurrection. That was on my list. Hold on. Yeah, right here it is. Halloween Resurrection. Oh, geez.
Piz, if I could bring up just one more film.
Go for it.
In case people want to try to get their Jamie Lee Curtis fix without doing Halloween for a year, I know that's impossible for some people. They would inject it into their veins if possible. But there's this movie called Mother's Boys that I always liked that she was in. It's not really horror. It's more psychological. It's kind of like a 90s Fatal Attraction, except with it's kind of like that. Really cool movie. That's Mother's Boys from '94 with Jamie Lee. Check that out. It's a good movie.
I've never seen it, but I've heard she has a very odd nude scene in it.
It is odd, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's it's odd. It's definitely odd, and it's taboo. I'll just say that, very taboo. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was a good movie, and it's a shame that some of her, in my opinion, good performances are undershadowed by her low budget slasher bad movies. And that's not a knock, because I love the movies, but I mean, for God's sakes, more people have probably seen Terror Train than Mother's Boys, and I think Mother's Boys is really good. So check it out. It's a good movie.
There's another good Jamie Lee Curtis movie. Scream Factory's releasing it on Blu-ray soon, called Road Games. It's an Australian film.
Yeah.
With Stacey Keach, as directed by can't think of his name. He directed Psycho 2 also.
Oh yeah.
Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but it's good.
Oh, Richard Franklin.
Yes.
Richard Franklin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he did Psycho 2 and Cloak and Dagger, which I mentioned before. So.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. I think we've given you guys more than enough lesser known, obscure movies to watch this Halloween season, and I know I'm speaking for the group here, but we hope you guys out there are all having a great, safe, healthy, and happy Halloween season, and hope you guys have an awesome Halloween night full of horror movies and candy, because you've got to have some candy on Halloween night. So, all
right, everyone got their copy of H2O queued up?
I do. Just in case. I do have it downloaded, just in case.
We'll get to H2O. We will get to H2O eventually. So all of you out there who voted for H2O instead of the deep cuts, we'll get to H2O eventually. I promise. So.
Piz, when you make the thumbnail for H2O, you got to incorporate Bobby Boucher and put in Netham Hakwadi H2O.
There you go. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is pretty much the show. However, I want to close out October, because this is our last show in October. All next week will be all about Halloween. So no show next week, but I want to close out this month because we've not had wise words from the professor in a very long time. So let's close out October with some wise words from the professor. Be Movie Mike. Mike, you've got the floor.
Gee, thanks. Wise words. Exit the show before you're put on the spot. Oops, too late. Oh, man. After the last 3 weeks, you expect me to have some kind of cognitive capability? Really? I'm just thinking about Busta Rhymes and skull fucking. I can't.
Floppy ass titties.
Cow. I don't know. Well, like we were talking about the Walmart thing, and no matter what you believe or don't believe, everybody has the right to think or believe whatever they want, right? So maybe if we could just all give everybody space, we'd be much happier, because there's nothing wrong with individualism. I think there's too many cliques, there's too much centralization of thought. It's getting kind of scary out there with destroying people's careers and lives, and it's enough. Just stop. watch the movies you like, listen to the music you like, believe whatever you want to believe, but just remember that, you know, if everybody's truly equal, then nobody is special, right? You can't be special and equal at the same time, because if you think you're special, then you're putting yourself above other people. All right, so whatever their trip is, as long as they're not pushing it on you, who cares, right? And the way you can stop the madness is don't push your trip on other people. All right, live and let live. Just, you know, Bill and Ted had it right, man. You know, just be cool.
Yeah.
You know, and rock on. You know, who cares, man? You were wasting way too much thought. Use that effort to improve yourself, right? Make your life better for you. And if other people can't pull their head out of their ass long enough to do it for themselves, well, that's on them. That's their life. They have to live it. Just be happy being you, man. Just keep on keeping on.
Well said. And wise words from the professor. Wise words from the professor. What's going on in Stingray Spotlight tonight, Stingray?
Oh, glad you asked.
The Spotlight.
Actually, I had this one loaded up for last week, but I finally got to see Midsummer, and I think that may be my favorite film of the year so far. Like, that is a beautiful, horrible, violent, disgusting film, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Cool. Midsummer is in the Stingray Spotlight. Is that out on Blu-ray yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Stingray Spotlight, Midsummer. And we are going to introduce a brand new segment tonight on the show. This is the Retro Video Game Corner with the Obsoletionist. Obsoletionist, give us a retro video game to play over Halloween.
Wow. House of the Dead. Because it was in reach. Blast zombies. You can't beat it. Available on Xbox, Wii, PS3, among other things. So you can find it somewhere.
Oh, there you go. House of the Dead is the inaugural segment of the retro video game corner with the Obsoletionist. All right, very nice.
We could pair that with the Uwe Boll masterpiece.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't want
much
to
goodness.
Oh dear. All right, guys, let's call it a night, and we will return in November with a brand new episode of the Sausage Factory. Again, thanks so much for you guys for tuning in tonight. We've had a really lively chat, and thanks to everybody on the panel. Christian, Jay, Lauren, Mike, Stone, and the Obsoletionist who made his Sausage Factory debut tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hopefully,
Always a pleasure.
Hopefully, the first of many appearances by the Obsoletionist.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you guys have a great Halloween, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks. So have a great night, a great week, and a great Halloween. Until then, peace.